last start, it happened again. 4 runs over 5 innings, 2 more home runs by the Orioles, and something to keep an eye on today, Dan. I thought he really got away from his breaking pitch at Camden Yards in that start, and we'll see how that impacts him today, whether it's just a feel that he didn't have. He went to his changeup a lot more, but he needs that weapon. Defensively behind Berrios for the Blue Jays, Alan Roden back out in left field, Gold Glover Miles Straw in center, and Anthony Santander will be the right fielder this afternoon. Clement and Bichette on the left side, Jimenez and Guerrero on the right, and once again Alejandro Kirk back there calling the signals for Berrios.
So without Julio Rodriguez, it is going to be Miles Mastrobuoni who is leading off for the Mariners today. He's at right field, a former Tampa Bay Ray and Chicago Cub. The Mariners picked him up at an offseason deal in January. Mastrobuoni, Jorge Polanco, and Cal Raleigh. Here in the top of the first. A sellout last night. Everybody loved the City Connect bomber jacket and the victory, and a very nice Saturday crowd here today. Berrios ready to go. Kirk behind the plate and underway with a fastball in for a strike.
Best way to deal with Cal Raleigh, and as hot as he is to get him up to bat with nobody on base. These first 2 hitters are important for Berrios.
Oh, 1 hit in the air to left field. Going back, pulling up on the track. Alan Roden hauls it in for the first out of the afternoon. Roden getting a lot of playing time for the Blue Jays these days. He's out there in the outfield again, and now Berrios will set his sights on Jorge Polanco. All right, let me ask you a question about Jorge Polanco. Did you mark him down as a switch hitter or a left-handed batter in your lineup today?
I put switch, but then I crossed it out and I put left and I circled it, because that's all we're going to see from him, I think.
He is, when healthy, a switch hitter, but he's got a right side issue. He's unable to hit from the right side. So he's a switch hitter who's only able to hit from the left side. So if and when a lefty reliever comes in and he's coming up, either he'll hit from the left side against the lefty, or he won't hit at all. He sends one a long way to right center field. Santander runs it down. 2 long flyouts to begin the afternoon. And Polanco and Berrios, longtime teammates in Minnesota, they're having a laugh. Santander's having a laugh as he made the catch out there.
Well, you remember that play in Baltimore. Gunnar Henderson hit a triple in Jose's last start out to right center field, and Anthony Dove didn't come up with it, but looks like he had this one totally under control. He said, "Look at me, guys."
I don't know. I think that's the bullpen guys he's talking to out in left field. He's giving it to them. They're giving it to him. 2 down. Here's Cal Raleigh. And a cutter from Berrios, misses a little down and in. Raleigh hitting just .218, but look at the homers. 8, again, second in the majors. 1 behind the Athletics' Tyler Soderstrom. 6 of his last 7 hits. 6 of his last 8 hits, rather, have been home runs.
Could be interesting as we move forward here, Dan, too. When you talked about Polanco, you've got the lefty Mastrobuoni leading off. Polanco, which we think he can only hit left-handed, and Cal Raleigh is stronger side from the left side. So it'll be interesting to see how that impacts John Schneider's bullpen usage later on.
Even J.P. Crawford in the 9 spot before these guys feels like a Brendan Little punt.
That feels like a Brendan Little day.
2-1 the count on Raleigh, the Platinum Glove Award winner last year as the best overall defender in the American League. Takes outside, ball 3. Signed a 6-year, $105 million contract just before the season began. And a breaking ball outside. Berrios walks him with 2 down here in the top of the first.
There aren't too many catchers in today's game that are doing it on both sides of the ball, and even traditionally it's just not a position that was a great offensive position, but Cal Raleigh does it on both sides, and that's what brings so much value to him as a receiver behind the dish.
So a base runner with 2 down for Randy Arozarena, a guy the Mariners got at the trade deadline last year from Tampa Bay. As you can see, not off to a great start in terms of average, hitting just .203, but he does have 4 home runs. He is always a power threat. Some reverse splits, hitting righties better than lefties this year. A little bit low, a ball and a strike. Thursday in Cincinnati, the last game the Mariners had before they got here to Toronto, they had a wild game. Raleigh and Arozarena went back-to-back in the 9th to tie it 7-7. And then they got 4 in the 10th, 2 of them on an Arozarena double. He's popped this one up in foul territory. Vladdy is over for a look, but won't have a play. And whether Arozarena's hot or cold or anywhere in between, he always feels like a threat in the box.
Yeah, and even as a club, the Mariners have been swinging the bats a little bit better this last week. It's good news for Dan Wilson and his offense with that starting pitching that they throw out there every day. They're tough.
A well-pitched game last night. Brian Wu for the Mariners, Bowden Francis for the Blue Jays. 1-2, and he got him up to 95. And a foul tip into the mid of Kirk. First strikeout of the afternoon for Jose Barrios. For the Blue Jays, 20 games into the season, the Blue Jays 12-8 right now. They have won 3 in a row. And here's a look at the lineup today. Nobody has more hard hit balls. That's 95 miles an hour or above. Nobody has more of those this year than Bo Bichette. A lot of line drives, a lot of doubles. Guerrero Santander 2-3. George Springer had another good night last night, a single and a double, and scored a couple of runs. This is going to be a challenge. Very few in baseball are pitching as well right now as Logan Gilbert.
4 games into his season, he's got a 2.38 ERA, off to a good start again, but the walks are down as usual, but the strikeouts are up. 12.7 per 9. That's good for 4th in all of Major League Baseball. And this is a durable guy. He's in his 5th big league season. 32, 32, and 33 starts each of the last 3 seasons. An all-star last year and top 6 Cy Young voter last year as well.
Bichette in the box. Bose actually had some pretty good numbers against Gilbert. Swings at the first pitch, a fastball, and he's popped it up for the second baseman Dylan Moore. So 1 pitch, 1 out for Gilbert. So in addition to terrific velocity, 4+ pitches, he's also 6'6", and his extension is elite. Not everybody extends to the same amount. He's 6'6" with elite extension. So it must look like he's throwing the ball from about 3 feet in front of you by the time he lets go.
That's what that extension means. It can be very deceptive to hitters because that pitcher just feels on top of you.
98 on the outside corner to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladdy 5 for 13 with 2 home runs against Gilbert. And he shoots it into right center. Boy, an absolute rocket off the bat of Guerrero to the wall in right center, and he is stopping at second base with a 1-out double.
Can't wait to see how hard that one was, Dan.
Well, last night, to your point, he hit the hardest ball of his career, 120.4. It was on a ground out, but the hardest of his career, you just saw that one's 113 as he sent a missile to the fence in right center.
And I like that one better because he got behind that baseball and got it in the air on a line into that right center gap.
Vladdy thought about trying for third for a moment. He saw that bobble by Mastrobuoni, but probably wisely decided to stay there. He hands it over to Anthony Santander. Santander extended his hitting streak to an 8-gamer last night, went 1 for 3, also had a sacrifice fly.
Gilbert using more splitters this year to righties and lefties, so we'll be looking for that all afternoon as a very big weapon for him. Four-seam, slider, and split for the most part against these left-handed hitters. He'll mix in a curveball. And he'll use the slider split combination with a four-seamer. Curveball a little bit more to the righties. But it's elite velocity and 3 pretty good secondary pitches.
A ball and a strike with a runner at second, 1 down. Hit hard, but well foul out in front of that curveball, and it's 1-2.
Now, I just went ahead and said that he's using his splitter a lot more this year, and I thought for sure against Santander this is where we'd see it. Now, we may see it here, but 2 sliders and a curveball, all breaking pitches coming down and in to Santander. The splitter should go more down and away if he goes to it.
Throwing the splitter a lot more this year than he did last year. That looked like it right there at 85. And one of the Blue Jays left some left-handed bats on the bench. There's the split grip. They left some left-handed hitters on the bench, and one of the reasons why is that splitter. Although he'll throw it to righties too.
For sure, he's throwing it to righties a lot more as well. But you see, he's a big man with a huge hand, and that ball's like a golf ball in his hand.
And into right field, a base hit. Guerrero's getting the wave. The throw to the plate is not in time, and it's 1-0.
They keep doing it. Get in scoring position and cash him in. This time it's Anthony Santander finding the hole on the right side. And this is a great send by the third base coach. We've talked about him so often, but it's because in right field is Miles Mastrobuoni today. He's really an outfielder, infielder, so a very average arm. And as this ball rolls out there on the turf, it's slowing down, but he gets the send. And Vladdy scores easily, challenging that arm of a guy that you often see in the infield.
So the Blue Jays with a run in here in the first against Logan Gilbert. And the batter now is Andres Jimenez, looking to break out of an 0 for 16. Even with the bag at third is Ben Williamson for the Mariners. Tellez holding on Santander. And 98 and in there, 0-2 on Jimenez.
Just spoke with Carlos Febles about those third base coaching duties this morning, and there's so many variables and things to consider. Is it a strong arm or is it an average arm? Does the outfielder have to come straight in, or is he moving to his left or right? What's the accuracy like? They've got scouting reports on everything.
But with all the information they have, it's always still a split-second decision in the heat of the moment, right?
When that ball was hit, once I knew it was going into right field, my eyes went right to Febles, and I saw the wave, and I thought, okay, this is interesting because the ball was hit at the right fielder. But again, Miles Mastrobuoni plays a lot of infield. He probably has more of an infielder's arm. He does have an accurate arm, but you could see not strong enough to get there.
And nobody in the building more excited to get the wave than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He likes waves a lot more than he likes stop signs. He got it started with a double, comes in on the Santander single. Down the left field line, that is a fair ball. Gathered up in the corner by Arozarena. Santander will be held at third on the opposite field double by Jimenez.
Andres Jimenez really handles the ball well at the top of the zone. He can flatten that bat path out very well. Not an easy thing to do against high velocity, but you can see where he gets just enough flat flatness to his path there to line that down the left field line.
So 2 in scoring position with 1 out. The infield is in for the Mariners, and the batter is George Springer. 2 for 3 with a single and a double last night. And a big swing and a foul off, 0-1. When they talk about getting your A swing off, that's the A swing right there.
And I think he saw the spin on the slider, but it was a pretty good one from Gilbert. If that doesn't break as much, he's probably on it enough to get the barrel and get that ball up in the air to the outfield.
Up in the air, but foul down the left field line. And it's 0-2.
This is situational hitting at its finest. George doing everything he can to try to get the ball up over the drawn-in infield. Keep the ball off the ground.
John Schneider talks about taking a different club out of your bag depending on the situation. 2 strikes now. Maybe Springer will down club a little bit here.
I'd go to about a 9-iron here. Get something in the air.
And he got him to chase on a slider well off the outside corner. 2 down.
But that's what elite pitchers do in those situations. That's why it's such a tough at bat to begin with, but especially when you fall behind 0-2. Tight slider from Gilbert.
So 2 down, and it'll be up to Alejandro Kirk. But first, Cal Raleigh wants to go to the mound for a conversation with Logan Gilbert.
Well, this could have a lot to do with how do you want to handle this? Do you want to go after Kirk, or do you want to pitch around him a little bit with the rookie Alan Roden on deck, despite him being left-handed? And I'm sure they've got all the numbers readily accessible in terms of this situation, how you want to do it. But as a catcher, whatever it is you want to do, you want to make sure that pitcher is on the same page as you. If you're going after Kirk, you want to go after him aggressively and with conviction with every pitch. And I think the first pitch or two will tell us.
Second and third, 2 down. Obviously, the infield has backed up now as Kirk looks at a slider for a strike.
Alejandro's handled fastballs a lot better than breakers, so if anything, I could see him continue to spin it.
There's the splitter right there, and it's 0-2. And what a different look that pitch is. Both breaking balls are going the other way. The fastball's riding in high at 96, and then you got that to deal with.
And the splitter, you don't see a spin like you do on a curveball or a slider, so it looks a little bit more like the fastball. Makes it extra tough.
Down and away. Two doubles and a single here in the first inning off Gilbert. 1 run in. Can Kirk come up with a big 2-out base hit? He cannot. A splitter to get him and end the inning. But the Blue Jays get the first run of the afternoon with 1 out. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. doubled and came in on this base hit by Anthony Santander, now riding a 9-game hitting streak, and is 1-0 early. Matchups tonight. First, beginning at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central, the Blues and the Jets. Winnipeg with the best record in the league during the regular season. And then later on tonight, the Avs and the Stars. at 8:30 Eastern Time. All kinds of Leaf jerseys, a few Senators sweaters here in the building as well. And look who has decided to join us in the booth here today. Lord Stanley himself. This is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Can we touch it?
I don't know. I honestly, well, ask permission. What is it? Ask forgiveness, not permission? By the way, and it's on Joe's side, I found 66-67. I can prove the Leafs won the Cup back in 67. It's on your side.
Right in front of me.
Yeah. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this is what they'll all be battling for, the coolest trophy in North American professional sport. It all starts tonight. Now, you grew up in Windsor. Wings fan?
Yeah, I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan. It's been a bit of a tough go for us Red Wing fans, but yes, growing up in Windsor, Ontario, right across the border from Detroit. We had a nice run, though, 25 straight playoff years there and 4 cups. It was a great, great run, but some thin times right now, but trying to get back at it.
Well, put it this way. You can remember your favorite team winning the Stanley Cup. I have to take a picture proving it to her because I can't. I was 3 months old.
Your birth year.
4 months old or whatever.
Our birth year.
Our birth year. Yeah. 1967, the last time they won it, but you never know. Going to be something with the Leafs and the Senators, the Battle of Ontario starting tomorrow night.
It's always fascinating to me in that sport because in hockey, playoff hockey just seems so different. Yep. And if you're an average hockey fan, you tune in for the playoffs because it is some fantastic action. Next level stuff.
It really is, and intense from the moment they dropped the puck the first time. Checked in with some of the Blue Jay players today to get their thoughts on the Stanley Cup playoffs. Talked to Ernie Clement. So Ernie's from Rochester, New York. Big Buffalo Sabres fan. That's not going all that well right now in terms of getting to the postseason. Ernie freely admits. Now, as a Buffalo fan, you might think he wants nothing to do with the Maple Leafs, but the Leafs are his adopted team, his second favorite team, since Buffalo is not in it. Miles Straw is from Florida and quietly admitted to me that he is a Lightning fan. But if it comes down to Lightning and Leafs, I think he may come over to this side.
Lightning, not Panthers, though. Interesting.
Lightning, not Panthers. Yeah. The resident hockey guy, I think, as people know, as Luke Raley draws a walk. George Springer's a big hockey guy. Proudly showed me his Hartford Whaler colored cleats. I don't know if he's wearing them today, but they were in his locker today. He said for a few years he was a Canadiens fan. Had a buddy on the Canadiens, Chris Higgins. Now has a buddy, Cam Atkinson, who plays for the Lightning. So he's another Tampa guy unless they're playing the Leafs. Everybody was very quick to say. And for the folks out in Manitoba, I checked in with Eric Swanson today. He is getting going on his rehab stint. He lives just across the border from Manitoba. He's a Jets guy, so he's rooting for the Jets.
Pretty good team to root for.
Yeah.
They're on a heater. Pretty nice season. And, of course, you've got a red-hot goalie that can carry you through the playoffs.
Can't wait. Luke Raley at first. Here's Rowdy Tellez, the former Blue Jay, who homered in last night's game, signed with the Mariners as a non-roster invitee, signed on a minor league deal, made the team. Getting more playing time because Victor Robles, their right fielder, hurt his shoulder. Luke Raley, who was playing a lot at first, has moved out to the outfield. Now to play left side, 1-2.
See Jose trying to come inside with that fastball, and it runs all the way across to the other side of the plate. Missed his spot by about 17 inches. And Jose's got that natural arm side run, so he really has to be good with his pitching mechanics when he's trying to go glove side into a lefty there so it doesn't come back to the barrel.
Barrios out in front, 1-2. And a breaking ball hit weakly to third. Clement to second, 1, and they won't have a chance to turn 2. Hit weakly and appeared to have a little bit of funny English on it too as it was getting out to Ernie.
Well, if there's anybody that you can turn that double play with, it's Rowdy Tellez, but it was just hit so softly, and then by the time Ernie got this baseball to Bo, the runner is on top of him, and I think as Bo's catching this baseball, he's thinking, I've got nowhere to go. He couldn't maneuver his feet, just didn't have time to clear himself of the runner. Very good, clean slide by Raley.
So a fielder's choice, Tellez aboard. And here's Dylan Moore, who was the second baseman today for Seattle, but he can be anywhere. He won the utility gold glove last year in the American League and played 7 positions. 0-2, and he's been known for his speed and versatility, but here he is so far this year hitting over 300, and he's already got 4 home runs.
Run with the opportunity. Always a valuable piece to have, a guy that you can move around like that and contribute with the bat.
Did not go. This is the kind of guy you say, Dylan, hey, can you? And he says yes before he even hears what the question is.
How many gloves does he have in his locker?
Popped up. Clement with room in foul territory to make the catch. 2 down. Well, this is an interesting shot. I mean, these 2 guys were teammates, obviously. Rowdy Tellez was the first baseman when Vladdy came up. Remember, Vladdy played third, and Rowdy kind of mentored him at first. When Vladdy started transitioning across the diamond to first base, Rowdy became more of a DH, and eventually there just kind of wasn't room for Rowdy as Vladdy took over as the everyday guy. He was traded to Milwaukee for Trevor Richards and Bowden Francis. But everybody spoke very highly, even though Rowdy Tellez probably very clearly understood that he was going to lose his job eventually to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Everybody spoke very highly of how Rowdy mentored Vladdy at first base in those early years.
Not easy too when you're considering what your own future holds, and Rowdy did not let that get in the way, and he went on to do some good things too. Now it's not like he was pushed out of town or anything. Rowdy hit 35 home runs a few years ago with Milwaukee, but just has not been able to find that stroke.
Ben Williamson is the batter, takes just low, 2 balls and a strike. Williamson, a rookie, Double-A last year, couple of weeks at Triple-A this year. An injury on the infield to Ryan Bliss, and an opening for Williamson, who comes to the major leagues with a very good defensive reputation, and as you can see, some solid offensive numbers as well. Bounces it to the right side. Jimenez has it on to first to retire the side. 1-0 going bottom 2. They've got to find ways to succeed doing the little things. A sacrifice fly here by Anthony Santander, scoring Bo Bichette, who had stolen second and moved to third on a ground ball. Then in the second inning, after a Springer single, a walk, a Wagner single to load him up, another sac fly. Again, not the sexiest thing in the world, but this is the way sometimes they're having to score runs. And then look at the base running here. Springer sees the left fielder going to his left. Gets to third with 1 out. Seattle's got to bring the infield in. And an Alejandro Kirk ground ball that might not have gone through goes through because the infield is in. With nobody out and a runner at second. They are second in the majors and getting that guy to third. With a runner at third, less than 2 outs. They are first in the majors at getting that guy home. Does it replace home runs? No. Is it sustainable? Maybe not. But right now, in the absence of power, they are finding ways to get a run here, a run there. Nobody's advocating for a full season of small ball. That doesn't work anymore. But right now, Joe, I think the numbers tell the story. They have not been a great offensive team, but their ability to move guys over and get guys in has helped them score a run here, a run there, and has won them a couple of ball games.
It's enough right now when your pitching is doing what they're doing and you have not necessarily hit the long ball yet. And they hope the big guys up top start doing that a little bit more, and history tells us they will. But you have to do a lot of little things. We talked about situational hitting when George came up, for example. When you have a runner on third and you're looking to get the ball in the air, and I thought a couple examples that we showed there were two hitters in Santander and Rodon getting something that they could get in the air. That's all you're trying to do, and then you hope it's far enough to cash in that run.
So I talked to John Schneider a little bit about it, and he said, well, a big reason is what the hitting coaches are doing during batting practice. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, depending on who the starter is, they will be kind of, yelling out instructions or situations to the hitters during batting practice. As that splitter lands in the zone, strike 3 called on Rodon. If it's just your run-of-the-mill starter, David Popkins and company, they don't want to clog up your minds. Go up there and do your thing. Get your A swing off, see what happens. But against a Gilbert, a Schwellenbach, a Strider, a Mackenzie Gore, a Garrett Crochet, you might hear things around the cage like, runner at second, nobody out, or get the ball in the air, or hit the ball to the opposite field, whatever it is, whatever the game plan is for that day, to try to instill the mindset they want for the game itself. And to a man, everybody says that is helping, and that there is a tremendous amount of selflessness right now. You've heard John Schneider, Hazel's talked about it, say 9 versus 1, that all 9 guys got to be together in terms of their game plan and what they're trying to accomplish. And again, they'd love to hit for more power, and you got to imagine at some point this season they will. But until then, these little things are helping them scratch out runs here and there.
It used to be in batting practice, you would have a routine where you started with 5 swings the other way, just to try to keep you on the ball and to develop some good habits. And then runner on second, get them over. And then runner on third, infield in, get them in. Runner on third, infield back, get him in, squeeze. So this was a routine. We did it for years, but it's almost just becomes like a habit, and you lose your focus because it's just too routine oriented. And it sounds like what they're doing is they're picking their spots here. So you got a guy like a Logan Gilbert on the mound, say, hey, what if we get into this situation where you've got infield in, runner in third, get something in the air, because you can manipulate you back, you can change your swing path, alter it to get a ball in the air to the outfield, get a particular pitch to do that with. Most hitters will tell you they're looking for something more hard in, hard up, because they can stay inside that ball to elevate it to get it to the outfield. So all of those things and those thought processes, clearly through 20 games, they're doing a lot of good things. But you've got a top 5 pitching staff too, and helps, because you're not beating teams 8-1 right now. It's not happening.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to score some more runs if the pitchers take a step back, which naturally probably will happen.
With all that being said, and to your point, they're 22nd out of 30 in runs scored. They are not a juggernaut right now. But if they weren't trying to play this style in certain situations, they'd be 25th, 26th, something like that. And they're just under 4 runs per game, waiting for the power to come. But they're putting the ball in play, moving guys over, getting guys in. Hooked into left field, a base hit for Clement. What an at-bat as he fouled off pitch after pitch from Gilbert. Let's check in with Hazel.
I spoke to George Springer, and he said last year they may have hit home runs early, but they weren't manufacturing runs. He's saying a lot of good quality at-bats with guys on base, and Springer believes that over the course of a season, guys, that's what's going to win you a lot more ball games than just solo home runs. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. It definitely feels like they're on base more, like they have fewer 3-up, 3-down innings than they had last year.
More base runners.
Yeah.
More base runners, more traffic, more can happen.
Here's Miles Straw getting a start in center, batting 9th today. And he is certainly doing his part, hitting .355. One and one. Looking down to Carlos Fablis to see if anything is on. He got pretty good speed at first.
Do you try something here? You got a tough pitcher on the mound with your 9-hitter at the plate. Ernie can run pretty well. Put him in motion, maybe.
Not going. And Straw lifts a fly ball to right. Mastroboni drifting back just shy of the track to make the catch, 2 down.
If you're ever going to play hit and run to try to do something against a tough pitcher, normally you want to do it when you think your hitter's getting a fastball, hopefully something in the zone. It was a good pitch to do something on, but Miles has been swinging the bat pretty well too, so you also don't want to take that bat out of his hands and make him swing.
Top of the order, Bo Bichette, who popped up in the first inning. 1-0 Blue Jays. They've got 4 hits already in this game.
See Bo just continuing to pile up the hits, and we saw that last night in his first at bat, just shooting something the other way with 2 strikes. Classic Bo Bichette. He concedes a bit with 2 strikes. He'll give in to the pitcher a little bit, not be as aggressive like that right there. So now it's time to shorten up, and he really widens out his stance. No real leg kick, and he has the ability to get that barrel into the zone so early that he can handle velocity and still shoot it the other way. Let it get so deep.
Clement started, then stopped as Bichette hits it to the right side. Tellez flips to Gilbert, covering for the 3rd out to end the inning.
Rogers Center. Addison Barger is not in the starting lineup this afternoon, but he certainly made his presence felt last night with not 1, not 2, but 3 absolute laser throws from the outfield to help preserve what was a victory in the season opener. Now, Barger credits his father for helping him really focus on arm strength when he was younger, something he emphasized at a very young age. My dad always said you should probably have a good arm, so it's something I worked at a lot. Now, George Springer was impressed with not only how hard Barger threw the ball, but the accuracy of his throws and the instincts it took to throw it to the right base. Now, Springer said it was a key to a huge win for them last night. Barger is maturing and is really taken to the outfield, according to John Schneider. He's noticed Barger is now understanding what his arm can do, and he's making those assists look easy when they certainly are not, guys.
It is a weapon out there, tying the Blue Jay record. Steve Bowling in 1977, Rick Bassetti in 1979, Addison Barger last night. The only 3 players ever in Blue Jay history to record 3 outfield assists in a single game. There's a ground ball to second off the bat of J.P. Crawford and an easy first out. So that 3rd throw that got Rowdy Tellez at 3rd went to Will Wagner, who you see there in conversation with the Barger and Chris Bassett. So I went to Will today and I said, what did you see? What were you thinking as the throw's on the way in? And he said, it was funny. He goes, I was actually nervous because I could tell right away, like, he was going to be out. I could see how good the throw was. And when you know the runner's easily going to be out, it's all on you now. You got to catch the ball, get the tag down properly. So he said he was a little nervous as the ball was coming in. And of course he made the play, and the out was recorded. I said, did the throw have any tail on it whatsoever? And he said no.
Sure didn't look like
it. It was from right field to 3rd base, and it was true. It's a gift that Barger has. Here's another ground ball. Guerrero backhands. Barrios over to cover. 2 down. So then I wandered over to Addison's locker today, and I said, I don't remember if I've asked you this before. Did you ever pitch in high school or anything? He goes, And he was a shortstop coming up.
Yep.
He says, yeah, I was the shortstop for 8 innings, and then if we were leading, I was the closer. And I said, how hard did you throw in high school? He goes, 92 to 95. High school. And I said, did you ever think about becoming a pitcher? And he goes, no. And I said, why? He goes, I like hitting better.
Well, we saw, was it Spencer Schwellenbach here the other day for Atlanta?
Yeah, that's right.
Shortstop / closer. I thought the look on Bowden Francis's face after that out at third base was like, wow, that would look really cool on the mound. I'd like to see that one day. The accuracy is what's amazing too. It's one thing going back to speaking with Carlos Fables and third base coaches. Those are the things they think about. The arm is one thing,
yeah,
but where is he going to get to the ball in a setup for the throw, and then about the accuracy. And you look around the game a lot, Dan, there aren't a lot of accurate throws, especially like plays at the plate. You don't see that as much. He was right on the money at third.
You and I grew up in an era where just in right field, Ellis Valentine, later on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Jesse Barfield, Dwight Evans, Dave Parker. I mean, there were so many right fielders with cannons, but you're right, there aren't as many anymore.
Or even when you watch throws home and plays at the plate, how many are accurate?
How about these ground balls? Jose Barrios gets the Mariners quickly and quietly in the top of the third.
Download the app for the latest odds on today's baseball games and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Bottom three here in the middle, game of 3 between the Blue Jays and Mariners here in downtown Toronto. The Blue Jays victorious last night 3-1 and leading 1-0 today. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had a big part in that. He doubled with 1 out in the first and then scored on an RBI single by Anthony Santander. Logan Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners. Part of what has been an outstanding rotation for Seattle in recent years. Not up to quite the start as a group this year that they had last year, and they're missing one of their guys, George Kirby, who's on the IL. That's a good take right there on a slider just below the knees. 2-0.
Didn't think Vladdy would get a fastball early in this count after what he did to the last fastball he saw, but now Gilbert has dug himself a bit of a hole.
Still won't throw him a fastball. That's a sign of respect when you got a fastball as good as Gilbert has, and it's great, and he doesn't want to give Vladdy one.
And Gilbert had a closer look than we did about how that ball came off Vladdy's bat last time.
In there for a strike, 3-1. Guerrero, Santander, and Jimenez here in the third. Each of them had a hit off Gilbert back in the first. And in there with a breaking ball, 3-2. Now he's got the wheels turning in Vladdy's head.
Well, and how do you get off of the 96, 97? I mean, you can't look for a breaking ball or the splitter here. You have to still have that fastball in mind. If he throws a good splitter, that's why he's so tough. No way you're getting to the heater at the top of the zone if you're thinking off speed.
Fastball in for ball 4, a leadoff walk.
You take a look at Logan Gilbert's delivery. Now, we've said he's a big man. He's 6'6" out there and gets tremendous extension down the mound. Watch the glove right here. It's almost like he hides it behind you, and then where his arm is going to come from, it must be even more difficult for hitters to pick up the baseball. So he's got a lot of things, a lot of factors, a lot of variables going on that make it very difficult to hit him.
Santander lines the ball sharply to left, but it's carrying out to a Rosarena, and out number 1. So as a hitter, do you ignore that, violent glove move and just look for the release point a fraction of a second later?
Some really good hitters will probably tell you they're looking at an area where the ball is being released. Now, if you can do that, that's probably what the best do. It's very difficult. And again, with his frame being such a big guy and his angle's down a little bit for a lot of big guys like that. So you try to wipe all that out, but it's hard. You're sitting patiently in the batter's box while all this is happening.
I mean, we talked about Addison Barger and what he was like in high school. Imagine, as Andres Jimenez steps in, what Logan Gilbert would have been like in high school. Maybe a head taller than anybody else, all arms and legs, probably throwing in the low 90s. I mean, I doubt anybody touched this guy in high school. This is his first start on the road this year, and kind of a schedule quirk. Seattle played 13 of its first 16 games at home. They're on a 3-city road trip right now, and just by happenstance, each of his first 4 starts was at T-Mobile Park in Seattle.
And most pitchers enjoy pitching at T-Mobile.
Yep.
Hitters not so much.
Yeah, and a related story, hitters don't. It's hard to hit the ball out of there.
There has been a lot of talk about that ballpark.
If you go look at StatCast park factors, Seattle's park shows up as the pitcher friendliest ballpark in the majors.
And it can be for a variety of reasons. I mean, it's the Pacific Northwest, a lot of cold, damp days, I'm sure, early in the season as well as later in the season. That roof closes right, but still exposed.
Vladdy running on the 3-1 pitch, and Jimenez fouled it off. That's 3 times in 4 games he's been running. 2 of the 3 were negated by a foul ball.
And Logan Gilbert is not known as one that's going to hold runners very closely. Opposing base stealers were 14 for 18 against him last year, so it could be a slow delivery, could be that they've picked up something, a tendency in his move.
Not going here, and fouled off by Jimenez.
It is a pretty big leg kick.
They're running up that pitch count pretty well here in the early going. About to throw number 50 with 1 out here in the third. That's a base hit into right field. Guerrero had to let it get by him, so he'll stop at second. How about Jimenez, 2 for 2?
Well, it's been a bit of a struggle lately for Andres, so that's got to feel pretty good to not just get a couple of knocks, but off a pretty good pitcher in Gilbert. It's like a little slider here that comes down and in. We talked about his double in the first, how he handled the ball up in the zone so well with that flat back path, and this one he goes down and gets. Good combination.
So first and second, one out for George Springer, who struck out in the first. Another meeting on the mound. This time Crawford, the shortstop, coming in as well. This is the kind of thing the coaching staff talks about and is so happy about, whether it was Mackenzie Gore or Spencer Schwellenbach or Garrett Crochet or Brian Wu last night. Some of the toughest starting pitchers the Blue Jays have faced. It seems, Joe, they've been able to do this: put the ball in play, get their hits, run up a pitch count. Whether you can get that back-breaking multi-run homer is another thing. But they are making the best pitchers they have seen this year work awfully hard for their outs.
And it's easy when you're facing some of the best to kind of just tip your cap, and this guy's one of the best in the league, but clearly not the case this year with this Blue Jays lineup. It might be picking a location, an area that you're good at. If George, for example, is really good middle, in, and down, then you're looking for that fastball to miss in that area. And that's just one example. Could be another hitter. Could be Jimenez looking for something down in the zone in a particular at bat.
Popped it up into shallow right field, and going back to second baseman Moore to make the catch. The infield fly rule was in effect. 2 down. And so far today, they did string 3 hits together in the first, which is awfully hard to do, especially against a guy as good as Gilbert. It's 1-0. They've actually had more opportunities. After the run scored in the first, they had second and third, 1 out, but that was it. Had a 1-out single in the second. That was as far as that got. And now they had first and second, 1 out here in the third. Now with 2 down, it'll be Kirk.
And that's what good pitchers do too, Ray. When their back's against the wall, they've got the weapons to get out of it, and he's done that so far.
0-1.
Now I find that more interesting that he started him off with a fastball right there, because Cal Raleigh went out to talk to Gilbert before his at-bat when he struck him out in the first inning, and I think the discussion was, how would you want to go about this? And they threw a lot of off-speed and breaking pitches to Kirk, and very successful. And now they start first pitch fastball, and that might be the best pitch Alejandro gets this at-bat.
Splitter, no swing, says Andy Fletcher, the first base ump. Guerrero at second, Jimenez at first, but 2 down. Tried to split again, but this one misses off the outside corner. See big strikeout numbers for Gilbert on the young season. 2-2.
He's going to stay with it. He's not going to see another fastball, I don't think, and especially he's got Alan Roden on deck, the rookie, who I'm sure Gilbert feels okay facing, rather than giving in with a fastball to Kirk. So Alejandro, if he does some damage here, I think he's going to have to do it against a slider or split.
21 pitches in the inning already for Gilbert, 57 to this point of the ball game with 2 down in the third. Did that hit his bat? It sounded like it. That's a foul ball.
Alejandro looks like it. He's saying it hit him.
And looking back towards the dugout, this is something, you got a foul ball, and John Schneider says challenge. He asked the home plate umpire, Malachi Moore, you got a foul ball? And as soon as he heard that, he said, let's challenge.
As long as it wasn't a swing on the check swing, but Alejandro's first reaction, he pointed to his arm. Another splitter from Gilbert as it rode in on him. Looks like it caught his forearm right there.
Forearm, yeah. Did they appeal? I didn't see if Raleigh appealed or anything, because the swing would.
They might still do that.
Yeah, the swing would over. Didn't look like he went. And John Schneider just getting some clarification. Let's hear from Andy Fletcher.
The batter was not hit by the pitch.
The microphone not working great, but I think we could hear that the Blue Jays are challenging that Kirk was not hit by the pitch, I believe is what Andy Fletcher said.
I don't doubt if they award him first base that Dan Wilson might say check the swing, but it looks like Alejandro is able to hold up.
Well, Vladdy's going to third. Now, whether he just wants to talk to Carlos Fabulous or
and
whether he's seen
going to first.
And Alejandro's going to first.
And Jimenez is talking to Rowdy Tellez.
Vladdy's now standing on third base.
I think we know where this is going.
After review, the batter was hit by the pitch. The call is overturned. Runner goes to first base. Toronto retains her challenge.
So the Blue Jays retain their challenge, and the bases are loaded. Stan Wilson, the manager of the Mariners, really good player in his career. Long-time catcher.
You see that clap right there by the manager. Dan Wilson was looking at his catcher, Kyle Raleigh, right there when he said, okay, let's go. In other words, that doesn't matter to us. Kirk's on base, so what? The bases are loaded. There are 2 outs. Get this guy right here, and now they've got the rookie Rodin coming up, who they feel they can get.
Rodin struck out looking his first time up. What a big spot for him here. Swing and a miss, 0-1. He's funny because I think you'd classify him as a patient hitter, but every now and again.
Patiently aggressive.
Yeah, every now and again he goes up there and you can tell he's looking to do damage on the first pitch. That time guessed wrong on what he was going to get. That one almost bounces away from Raleigh. It did, but just a few feet. It's a ball and a strike.
That's a nice job by Raleigh. That's a run saver right there as his breaking pitch is down in the dirt. From his knees, able to get over just enough to catch it off his glove and then his chest protector. And that's gold. Gold Glover last year, Platinum Glover.
1-2. Again, that slider in the same pitch he threw him on the first pitch of this at bat.
Most of Raleigh's value comes from the way he receives pitches. Very good back there. Allen's moves can get big at times, and when they get big at times with that leg kick and jumping forward, you can have trouble picking up the off-speed pitches.
And he got him. And then Raleigh just has to step on home plate for the third out of the inning. The Blue Jays threaten but leave the bases loaded. Logan Gilbert with a big strikeout of Rodin, and it's still just a 1-0 game. Well, here's something you don't have in your collection. To be one of the first 15,000 fans here on May the 2nd to receive your very own Chris Bassett Ball Play on Basketball replica jersey. Chris, a huge basketball fan. Plus, enjoy night mode activations around the ballpark on City Connect Friday. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com/promotions. Chris Bassett was a very talented, I am told, high school basketball player. Loves his college basketball. Chris will talk to you about basketball. He'll talk football, and as you found out today, he'll talk baseball.
Oh, love talking baseball.
You got a long chat with him today.
Pitching and catching with him.
1-0 Blue Jays top 4. A great stop by Jimenez. Finds it, throws, but not in time. Just could not corral that ball when it was on the turf. in time to get Raleigh at first base.
What an effort by Andres Gimenez, and as good as he is, you know he is not happy with himself. He got to the baseball but just could not get it cleanly, and then just couldn't find it for a split second. And even with Raleigh, not a whole lot of speed, but just had to go enough. Raleigh beats it out.
A base hit for Raleigh. That's the first of the afternoon for the Mariners as Randy Arozarena looks at a strike. And Berrios tries a slurve there that he bounces in. 1-1 on Arozarena. George Springer DH today, so checking out his last at bat. Tried to slurve again and finds the inside corner for a called strike.
Arozarena, very patient hitter. He'll take his walks. Not going to expand a whole lot.
Leading the American League in walks drawn this season with 16. Close but no. 2-2. Started off with the St. Louis Cardinals, but as a very young player was traded to Tampa Bay. Had some good years with the Rays. 20 or more homers 3 times, 80 or more RBIs a couple of times.
Good trade by the Mariners last year, trying to inject some offense into their club in their stretch run.
Got jammed on an inside breaking ball, and he pops it up for Bichette. 1 down.
But maybe like a breaking ball that backed up in the inside. You're expecting it to break a little more, and it kind of stayed there, so it got in on his hands.
Now Luke Raley, another former Tampa Bay Ray. He was with the Rays back in 2022 and 2023. With Julio Rodriguez out of the starting lineup today, Raley is in center field, and he's more of a first baseman corner outfielder. This is just his 14th major league start in center.
All 20 games, right, Julio?
Yeah.
Started every game.
Well, you look at some of the batting averages. Raley, who's a good hitter, hitting 176. Seattle as a team is hitting 217. And here's the crazy part, and this tells you about how hard it is to hit in baseball these days. There are 4 teams with a lower team batting average than the Mariners, who are at 217. It's hard to hit these days.
It's hard to hit. It's a combination of what pitchers are firing up there these days. Velocity is as high as it's ever been in the game, but the secondary pitches as well. And part of that, though, and talking to people on the Seattle, couple people on the Seattle side today, part of that too is approach. And I think that's where, you know, we were talking about their approach, and at T-Mobile, and hitting at home is so tough, but a little bit of that can be approach too, and not trying to be so launchy. Edgar Martinez is now on board with the Seattle Mariners, trying to bring a little bit more of a put it in play, use the middle of the way a little more with 2 strikes approach, and reduce the strikeouts, because this is a team that can swing and miss with the best of them.
I mean, he's not an intimidating personality, but his career's intimidating. like when you look at the numbers, Hall of Famer.
Hitters should be listening.
Yep. Ball 4, and Berrios frustrated. That's his 3rd walk of the afternoon.
Interesting selection, going to the changeup there after getting back in the count 3-1. I wonder if Pete Walker is saying, just give me another good sinker in the zone and try to get some contact. He's been able to get some ground balls today, and this would be a good guy right here to get a ground ball.
Rowdy Tellez. slurve for a strike. And quickly 0-2.
Dangerous pitch in there. It's got to stay in there, and that's similar to the pitch that Rowdy hit out last night. But if you can get it in there like that to speed him up a little bit, that definitely sets up his secondary pitches, whether it goes back toward that breaking ball again or comes back changeup down and away, because Rowdy will expand.
Rowdy Tellez, now 30 years of age, was a 30th round pick of the Blue Jays in 2013 out of Elk Grove High School. Do you know who else is from?
That's Buck Martinez.
That's
country,
Buck Martinez's high school. They have that in common.
It is.
Berrios gets him to chase. 2 down.
And that pitch right there is set up with the previous 2 fastballs. You've got a couple fastballs up, speed them up a little bit, and when a hitter has that profile as a guy that will chase, he will expand the zone, then you don't keep throwing fastballs in the strike zone. You go to your secondary stuff and leave the strike zone, and Jose did that perfectly.
2 down as Tellez strikes out, and now Pete Walker is out to talk with Berrios. Kirk Jimenez coming in as well. The batter is Dylan Moore.
Well, this is interesting, and it's the 4th inning of a 1-run ball game, and I think this speaks volumes as to how important this hitter is for Pete Walker to go out there and say, hey, let's make sure we're on the same page here and make sure we've got the right attack plan. Got Moore to pop up foul territory his last time up on an 0-2 curveball. Better fastball here for sure than breaking pitches, so let's see if he sees some more of those.
First and second, 2 down. Moore 7 for his last 14 with a couple of homers entering this game today. This is popped up. Will it stay in play for Guerrero? It will. And a very big out for Jose Berrios as he strands a couple of runners.
As we know, Jose Berrios, and just saying something friendly to Cal Raleigh, but hey, he said sign right there. It's something about Raleigh being on second base. It's, in other words, it's okay. You want to give signs, it's okay. I'll take care of it. But I think this has a lot to do with what Cal Raleigh was doing as a base runner on second base. And as a pitcher and a catcher, oftentimes what you'll do is you'll say, hey, that's fair game. It's happening on the field, but we might also do something about it.
Very unusual to see Berrios' temperature rise like that, but he made his point to Raleigh, whatever it was. Again, nothing escalated. We'll be back after this. back in the dugout after straining a couple of runners and starting a conversation with Cal Raleigh, and it certainly looked like Berríos felt maybe Raleigh was relaying something from second to base. And again, anything coming from the field is fair game. It is within the rules. But the other team never likes it if they suspect a team of doing it. In hindsight, Joe, was the Pete Walker visit maybe because somebody felt they knew that something was coming from second base?
It could very well be, and this is happening all over the game, as we know, and this isn't new. This has been going on for years. We saw Pete Walker going at it. Was it in Boston with the third base coach? Are they tipping? Are they giving something? And this, to me, just from a catcher's perspective, when I see Berríos react that way, he's saying, hey, I saw what you're doing, you better stop or we'll do something about it. And that's what usually you do, is portray that message to your opponent, and then they stop. Could have been giving location. What can happen now with PitchCom, you're not putting fingers down for signals.
Right.
But what it could be is once the sign is given to Berríos in his PitchCom, perhaps Kirk's setting up a little bit too early. And if you set up to the outside, away to a righty, maybe he takes a step back toward the second base bag.
Ernie Clement leading off the bottom of the fourth. And we understand that both teams were issued warnings. So that's the umpires saying, okay, everybody knows what's going on right now. That's it. But definitely something to keep an eye on the rest of the way. 1-2 on Ernie Clement, who had a base hit his first time up.
And all that being said, Dan, as a catcher, you have to take, that's your responsibility. You have PitchCom now. They're not stealing signs from your fingers. You have to set up late. You have to make sure that you're sitting square, and you set up very late as the pitcher lifts his leg to deliver the ball to the plate. So they can't relay location. To be a catcher, you gotta love it.
2-2 and a swing and a miss as Gilbert gets Clement. 5 strikeouts now for Logan Gilbert.
The slider's certainly been working for him. He's using it a lot against left-handed hitters as well, but you can see Ernie just cannot lay off when you're gearing up or have to be geared up for the mid to upper 90s.
Miles Straw takes a slider with the knees. Williamson in even with a bag at third. And a check swing foul off 0-2.
Those are those indecisive swings you get when you see good slider come back with good fastball in the mid 90s. Logan Gilbert came off the mound fired up after that strikeout to Roden last inning, and that's the kind of thing that maybe could just lock him right in.
Well, that one he actually hung a little bit. A curveball, 1-2 curveball up in the zone. He has not left many, hittable pitches, although the Blue Jays have their hits, but that one didn't have the crispness most of his pitches have had.
And these guys can get away with that on occasion because of the velocity on that fastball.
Two and two. Blew a fastball by him. That's 3 consecutive strikeouts now for Gilbert and 6 on the afternoon.
And he's doing it against just the one walk as well. This is why Logan Gilbert is so special. Not a whole lot of base runners. When you're not walking them and you're striking out a bunch, you force them to work their way on. The Blue Jays have done a decent job of that. with their 5 hits, but only able to scratch across the 1 in the first.
So 2 down, and the batter Bo Bichette, who is 0 for 2. Lays off the breaking ball down and away. 1 run on 5 hits for the Blue Jays. No runs on 1 hit for the Mariners. And Gilbert about to throw his 75th pitch of the game already here in the 4th inning. Upset with that one. It's 2-0. And right on the corner, 2-1.
It's like he's going to stay away for the most part against Bichette.
Fastball away. 2-2.
That's where Bo takes a shot. He was in a good count, maybe looking for that fastball. Still beat him a little bit, but that's part of his style too, the way he lets the ball travel so he can see it a long time. Now once again, you have to go to battle 2 strikes.
And you can see Gilbert unhappy again. Didn't execute that curveball the way that he wanted to, and now it's 3-2. If Bichette gets on, Guerrero comes up. Ball 4. You can see Gilbert again unhappy, and Joe, that's more pitches. Now Guerrero's coming to the plate, and all of this, these little moments, could get Gilbert out of the game an inning earlier.
Now this is a little twofold, I think, the frustration here when Gilbert misses this pitch, angry with himself because he missed his spot. He walked a hitter that he doesn't do very often, and he did it with 2 outs and Mr. Guerrero coming to the plate.
Vladdy has doubled and scored and walked today. High throw, and Rowdy Tellez did well to keep that one from getting by him.
Got to be ready with those pitchers. You just never know. Rowdy was on his toes.
Big lead by Bo, and he's going. Vladdy taking all the way. He saw the jump, and that's a stolen base for Bichette.
Well, that was easy. Said Logan Gilbert does not do a great job at holding runners on, and Bo took advantage. With 2 outs, you take that gamble. The feet are moving over there, and he's just trying to get a great jump, and if the pitcher bites and doesn't deliver, easy bag. Now you're in scoring position for Vladdy.
So 2 steals on the season for Bichette last night and today.
Pick your spots, right?
Over to 1 the count on Guerrero. Off the corner, a ball and a strike.
Blue Jays have been much smarter on the base pass, and in talking to Mark Budzinski, the first base coach, they have tells from pitchers. They know their times to the plate, and you pick your spots, and you get a guy like Bo Bichette that can steal a couple bags in a couple days just by taking advantage of your opponent.
Swung on and missed. 1-2.
You see hitters look up there once in a while. Vladdy's looking up there. I think he's wondering, was that a slider that kind of spun, or was it a splitter? And I think it was a splitter at the bottom of the zone.
And another splitter to get him. Gilbert with his 7th strikeout of the afternoon, as the Blue Jays leave another runner. They've now stranded 7 through 4, and it's still just a 1-0 game. Gear up with the stylish Blue Jays A Minecraft Movie hat giveaway. Be one of the first 15,000 fans here Saturday, May 3rd, 2 weeks from today, to score your exclusive Blue Jays Minecraft Movie hat. Head to BlueJays.com/promotions to secure your tickets today. Here it is 1-0 Blue Jays going to the top of the 5th inning. 8-9-1 coming up for the Mariners against Jose Barrios. This is rookie Ben Williamson, who's 0 for 1. And takes a fastball a little bit low for ball 1. Seattle, this is the middle stop of a 3-city road trip for them. This one lined to left field, and a diving attempt, but in and out of the glove of Rodin. And Williamson is on his way to second base.
Good effort by Alan Rodin, and he did prevent it from getting by him, but just cannot come up with it. It looked like it was right in his glove and maybe hitting the turf. Popped it out of that glove. Timed it perfectly.
First extra base hit of Ben Williamson's career. Again, just a handful of games in the big leagues. So now the number 9 hitter, J.P. Crawford, takes outside ball 1.
Keep an eye on the runner at second base. We know Jose Barrios likes to set up some pickoffs around that second base bag, and maybe you get a fresh face out there and a young player.
Play on his second.
Like that. Ooh. This is a timing play. Bo Bichette just slid in behind the runner, and Dan Wilson and his staff should know. Watch Bo here. He's just going to time it.
Throws a little bit lower. They got him probably, and this is the guy to do it with, is Barrios, right?
And you get a young runner that maybe isn't quite as familiar, even if they do have the scouting report. May still get off an extra step. Alejandro, they're just reminding Barrios, good direction. When he pointed to his chest, he's saying, keep that shoulder in. Finish your delivery.
Missed outside and falls behind 3-0.
When you're not quite finishing your delivery, a curveball's not a bad pitch to go to, because you really have to reach out front, get that release point out there to get it back, but he's still not far enough.
3-1. And ball 4. So the first 2 have reached.
Step up to the plate and take on any DIY project. At Home Hardware Building Centers, we have everything to build anything. Here's how.
Top of the 5th inning here with the Rogers Center. It is 1-0, but the Mariners have the first 2 men on. That was the 4th walk given up by Barrios today, and now it's the top of the order. Miles Mastrobuoni gets a bunt down. Barrios' only play is to first, and it's just in time. You could see the wheels turning in Jose's head. He was thinking about other options. Just does get the out at first.
This is the regular defense of the bunt here, and that's because Ernie Clement is coming in. So when Jose fields this ball, he's looking to see, because it was hard, do I have a shot at second? But he's smart by taking the out. Any manager will tell you this is what they do all spring when they do these drills. Get an out on the play somewhere, because if not, you open yourself up to a big inning. He's such a good athlete. He's very good with the feet and the hands, but he makes sure he gets one.
So 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and the batter is Jorge Polanco. And a strike right on the corner to Polanco, who is 0 for 2 today. The Blue Jays have come in a little bit on the corners. They're backed up the middle, and they're also playing Polanco to pull at short and second. Grounded to first. Guerrero has it, looks the runner back, and makes the play. 2 down.
That could not have worked out better. Hard right at the first baseman. You just described the corners being in. If that's in the middle of the field, it's a run.
So this is interesting on a number of levels. First of all, it's Cal Raleigh, big-time home run hitter. There's a base open as well, so how do they go about it? And it was, of course, Raleigh that Jose Barrios was less than pleased with last inning.
I'm a bit surprised they're pitching to him, though.
Randy Arozarena's the on-deck hitter. Again, if you weren't with us, it appears that the Blue Jays felt as if Raleigh may have been relaying information from second base. That's not against the rules, but still, the other team never likes it when it happens. Ball 1.
Arozarena is 0 for 2. He has struck out and popped up. He may not get anything good to hit, but I certainly would not let this guy beat me right now.
He hits it hard down the right field line. It's a fair ball. Guerrero's already pointing at the dugout to say have a look at it, but at the moment it is a 2-run double for Cal Raleigh. And the Blue Jays want a challenge.
It's a changeup, and it's out over the plate. Raleigh does a nice job getting down to that pitch.
Toronto's challenging.
Hooking it down the line. Andy Fletcher, the first base umpire and crew chief, had a pretty good look at it. Certainly looks like some white paint popping up.
Yeah, it does. I don't know how you haven't overturned that. Talk about a game of inches, huh?
I mean, that looks on the line to me.
Looks like a fair ball.
But yeah, it's interesting. It looks on the line, but then after the ball starts going up, it appears as though some of the fragments in the turf from that brown side popped up. So this will be a lot of looks from New York.
I didn't see if Santander had any reaction to the moment, but Guerrero did. But Vladdy does. And
After review the field stands, it is a fair ball. Toronto loses their challenge for the remainder of the game.
so a 2-run double for Raleigh, and Seattle has taken the lead. Raleigh's been on base all 3 times, 2 hits and a walk. And here's Arozarena. And to your point, they went after Raleigh, and you were talking about it before the hit.
Yeah, no, I don't understand it. It's a perfect situation with an open base, and you've got a same-sided hitter on deck in Arozarena. And no disrespect to Arozarena, but that's the matchup I would want.
Well, it's a game where it has certainly felt like the Blue Jays have had the majority of the chances, and they've done very well to, get Gilbert up against the ropes, but he's gotten out of trouble, and the Blue Jays have stranded 7 men through 4, and now Seattle has taken the lead.
You look at matchups individually too, and Cal Raleigh has not had a lot of success against Jose Barrios, also not a lot of history. But he has certainly been a Blue Jays killer, and you just have that feel on the opposing team. You don't want him to beat you if you lose a ball game today.
And Arozarena waves at it. Barrios strikes him out, but the damage is done. Cal Raleigh with a 2-run double, and the Mariners lead.
back, our colleague Caleb Joseph was in the Seattle system when Logan Gilbert first came up in 2021. He caught every pitch Gilbert threw in a non-game scenario. I asked him what Gilbert was like off the mound because we know he's a strikeout artist. And Caleb told me he is super regimented, a hard worker, very disciplined. He's, in fact, a gentle giant. He is the most gentle soul off the mound. But between the lines, Caleb said he looks like a guy who is ready to annihilate you. Caleb said it is a pretty incredible and huge transformation of a personality he had ever seen in his career. And Dan and Joe, the Blue Jays, have not seen that gentle soul Caleb has been talking about on the mound this afternoon.
Guys. Thank you. Look at Caleb looking Mr. GQ, the pose locked in on what's going on the field. Mr. Serious right now.
Looks like he's scouting.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Caleb was with Seattle, was with the Blue Jays, was with the Orioles, and you talk to pitchers or about pitchers, they all know him. They all threw to him. Not necessarily in regular season games all that much. Caleb was a backup and, you know, took his playing time where he could, but whether it was taxi squad or spring training or side sessions, our friend Mr. Joseph he's left an impression wherever he's gone.
He certainly has. And in talking to him this morning about Logan Gilbert, he said even as a catcher, he's one of those guys where that ball it was a big thud into your catcher's mitt when you're receiving the pitch. And that's kind of a heavy type pitch. And he had talked about him starting to throw that splitter back then. And now you see what an effective pitch it has been. He has really evolved into a star.
So the bad news is the Mariners have now taken the lead 2-1. The good news is because of the way the Blue Jays have grinded out at bats, and yes, they, you know, another hit or two in the right spot and they'd have the lead, but because of the way they've gotten that pitch count up, Seattle's got the bullpen going here to begin the bottom of the fifth. Right-hander Colin Snyder is up, and nothing would make John Schneider's day like getting Logan Gilbert out of this game as early as possible.
Sure, Blue Jays hitters would love to do that as well. And I've always joked and talked about it being a 5 or 6 inning game, because if you can have the lead in that 5th or 6th inning, then you control the bullpen decisions. You can be the aggressor as the manager. Right now, Dan Wilson is holding that card. You can lay out your bullpen with your big guys as you work toward the end to try to hold that lead.
The one guy you don't want to see if you're the Blue Jays is Andres Munoz, their closer. He is one of the very best in the game. 7 saves this year, has not given up a run yet this season. Somehow he got out of the way of that. And it is 2-2.
Sliders you can see spinning toward you, but those splitters, and Gilbert just pulled that one, but Anthony just had enough time.
I think at this point you can say Gilbert certainly is unlikely to last beyond this inning at 88 pitches now without an out yet in the 5th. And a splitter to get Santander. That's strikeout number 8.
Been a great pitch for him. We've seen the splitter against the righties as well, but there's those hands I was referring to earlier when Caleb told me about him going to that splitter. Again, you think of his size. He's 6'6", the way he gets down the mound, and then to grab that baseball like a golf ball, he can do some crazy things with it.
Andres Jimenez is seeing the ball well. He is 2 for 2. Had a double to left in the 1st and a base hit to right in the 3rd. And he's 3 for 3. Over to get it is Mastroboni, and he will hold Jimenez to a 1-out single. First 3-hit game of the season for Andres Jimenez.
Well, it's good to see Andres Jimenez locking it back in at the plate. He had such a good start to the season and has fallen off. And that can deepen your lineup.
Well, we saw Bichette very aggressively steal a base last inning. Jimenez is 6 for 7 already this year
with base stealing speed.
Yeah, let's see what's cooking here. Not going on the first pitch, and it's ball 1.
Little slide step from Gilbert that time, and I'm sure he's identified that opposing base runners are taking advantage of him, so he abbreviated his delivery that time.
There he goes. Springer taken all the way, and it is stolen by Jimenez.
Did not abbreviate his delivery that time, and what a difference it is for Logan Gilbert at 6'6" when he lifts that leg high. He tries to quicken it up a little bit, but you see George is taking the pitch all the way too, because he knows Jimenez has the bag.
Number 7 on the season. He's the team leader. Springer pops it up foul, back out of play. So we've seen Guerrero take a pitch to let Bichette steal, and Springer take a pitch to let Jimenez steal.
And part of that too is your prep before the series and before the game, knowing that this is a pitcher we can take advantage of. So as a hitter, you're aware of that, and as soon as you see or hear him running, let him go.
And it goes back to that 9 against 1 mentality that John Schneider's talking about. It certainly feels like if somebody's asked to take a pitch, like nobody's griping about it. They all understand that they've all got to work together here to try to maximize their offensive potential. 3-1 on Springer.
Gilbert just continuing to pound away at Springer. So if you're George, I'd probably just give up the inside part of the plate. Stay middle away, whether it's fastball, slider. But he's been living out there with Springer today. All 3 at bats.
Well located pitch right there, and it's 3-2.
That right there is why hitting is so difficult in baseball today. It's a 3-1 count. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that's a fastball away. Now it's a nasty slider down and away on the corner.
From a guy with an elite fastball too. Another step off. That's the second disengagement.
He might have been just catching himself a breath there.
Foul back. Barrios pacing. Again, the 3-2, and a swing and a miss. Again, a nasty pitch at the bottom of the zone. 2 down.
Well, we've been talking a lot about him throwing that splitter more this year, but that slider is utterly nasty. Sharp, tight spin. As a hitter, you're gearing up for the 96, 97. Pretty tough pitch.
And with 2 outs here in the 5th inning, it looks like, let's not jump to conclusions here. It's just a conversation for now. Dan Wilson, the manager, out for a conversation, but he's going to leave Gilbert in.
No, this is much like we saw last time, right? When the catcher Cal Raleigh went out to talk to his pitcher with Alejandro Kirk up, and I'm sure the discussion was about how you want to handle him. They ended up hitting him with that splitter, but knowing they have Roden on deck, somebody that they feel they can handle. Once again, I don't think Alejandro is going to see a fastball that he can hit here.
He just hasn't missed up in the zone with his breaking ball very much at all. He had that one curveball, remember, that kind of, I can't remember who.
Sure, not many.
But those sliders have been at the knees, below, down and away from the righties.
And as a manager, sometimes you're sitting there, but you're not giving signs. You want to go to the mound and make sure both your pitcher and your catcher are on that page.
Pitch number 100 on the way. And that time Kirk went around. whatever happens here, and you'd love to cash in this run. Again, getting this guy out of there after 5 innings, in the big picture, that's a win.
Yeah, well, it gives yourself a chance, right? Gives your team a chance. Got some pretty good arms coming out of that bullpen too, but take your chances.
Fouled off, 1-2.
And I'm sure he knows this is the end of the line too, so he is going to empty it. But again, I don't see Alejandro getting a fastball.
Jimenez the lead at second. And a splitter lined into left, a base hit. Jimenez will come in to score as Alejandro Kirk has tied this game.
What a great piece of hitting by Alejandro Kirk. He read the situation. He knows over the last 2 at-bats he's not getting any heaters, so go ahead and sit on the softer stuff. They've been very good, both the splitter and the slider. But look at how he stays on that pitch. When you lean out over the plate like that with your upper body and get that good hip hinge, it allows you to keep that bat through the zone and carry that ball into left field.
Well, they didn't knock him around, but they grinded out the at-bats today, and Logan Gilbert is out of this game. Big hit for Alejandro Kirk, a 2-out RBI single off Logan Gilbert to knock in Andres Jimenez. How big was that stolen to base 2? This game is tied.
So big, and this is what, again, when I referred to Mark Budzinski earlier today, these are pre-series meetings you have. You go over all these things, pitchers that you can take advantage, gain 90 feet. They do that. Alejandro with a big at-bat, and we got a tie ball game.
Colin Snyder, the new pitcher for Seattle. Alan Roden, the batter.
8th game of the season for Snyder. Opponents hitting .242 against him. He'll use the four-seamer, the cutter, and that sweeper right there against his left-handed batter in Roden.
And a dribbler up the first baseline. This could be tricky. Oh, a collision between Roden and Tellez. Roden is out, and now the issue is he okay? Rowdy is a big man, and he was just doing his job, taking the throw. And Roden, who does not give ground, got to the base as quickly as he could, and he got the worst of that collision.
Well, hopefully for Roden, he's just winded. It looked like he landed flat right back on his back.
The throw took Rowdy right into the path of Roden.
It's just a very unfortunate play in this game. Rowdy had to do what he could, but you could see he just stopped in his tracks.
Yeah.
He didn't bang his head, thank goodness, but he certainly landed hard.
Roden now sitting up. Jose Menestral checking him out. Mark Budzinski is there. John Schneider is there. And Rodin will be helped to his feet. We will update you when we come back. For now, let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Fans Flex Packs give you the flexibility to choose the games that work for you. Pick your favorite matchups, promotions, and theme days. Plus, unlock amazing benefits starting at just 3 games. Visit BlueJays.com/FlexPacks to build your pack today. Well, good news. Alan Rodin is still in the game. He is all right. As first pitch swinging, Luke Raley grounds one down to Guerrero. Rodin eventually was helped to his feet, walked around. John Schneider and Jose Menestral asked questions. It looked like, Joe, they were looking at the right forearm, but it might just have been the force of the collision. And Rodin clearly got the worst of it, and he might have just gotten his whole body kind of rattled for a second there. But after a minute or two, he was up. Guerrero was in the vicinity, made Rodin laugh. That was a good sign, and Rodin's still in the game.
Stopped in his tracks, running into Rowdy Tellez,
who immediately reached down and said, "Are you okay?" And again, obviously Rowdy did nothing wrong. He had to reach into the path of the runner to catch the throw.
Two pretty good, well put together men.
Yeah.
Heavy collision there.
Rodin's a Wisconsin guy. Don't know if he's got football in his background, but even if he did,
looks like he does.
Looks like he does. Yeah. Alan Rodin is he's not 6'4", but he's a big guy, but he's not Rowdy Tellez big. Rowdy skies one to center. Miles Straws there, 2 down. Meanwhile, Brendan Little has now gotten up in the Blue Jay bullpen.
Guess
Pitch
what?
count not an issue.
Guess what? Part of that Seattle Mariners lineup is coming, right? You talked about it earlier with Crawford, the lefty in the 9-hole, and then you turn things over.
Yeah, 9-1-2 is where it looks like they would use Little. And you could see Brendan is not throwing hard. He's not even up on top of the mound. He's just lightly tossing. And he would probably get another phone call if need be that says, okay, start gearing up now. This is getting more serious. Well, they're not going to need him this inning, it doesn't look like. Rodin coming in, and he'll make the catch, and that's a very quick 1-2-3 inning for Jose Barrios. as you know, the Stanley Cup playoffs are getting underway tonight. Tomorrow afternoon, there's more. It'll be New Jersey and Carolina beginning their series on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 360. And then the Battle of Ontario, Game 1, the Senators and the Leafs on Sportsnet and CBC. It all starts with Hockey Central, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. The Stanley Cup playoffs on Sportsnet. You know, it's funny when I was wandering around the clubhouse today and trying to talk to some players who I thought liked hockey. What's your favorite team and all that? I opened up with each guy by saying, "Hey, so we've got the cup in the booth today," and it was really? Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I was going to say to Springer, like, you're DHing top of the second if you want to pop up, but I think that's against the rules. But
of all of the trophies in sports,
Ernie Clement, as big a hockey fan as there is in that clubhouse. Clement, Straw, and Bichette here in the bottom of the 6th, tie game. Colin Snyder back on the mound this inning. Clement, a base hit and a strikeout today. Runs the fastball in, 2-2. Up the middle, diving stop. Moore, throw to first, not in time. Base hit, Clement.
that's where you love to have speed up and down your lineup. And Ernie, not necessarily a flyer that's going to steal 30 bases, but good enough speed to beat out plays like this.
All right, I got a question for you. Miles Straw, batter. Ernie Clement first. Bunt, hit and run, straight steal, or none of the above? Something's happening here, don't you think?
I'll go with bunt since the
bunt.
top of the order is coming up.
All right. Can I give you your prize based on that? Is that enough, or
has to be successful? This is the thing about bunting too. Everybody, a lot of people might think easy decision, bunt here, move them over, base hit, scores them. Well, you got to get the bunt down, and that's why the people that are against bunting are exactly that. Why would you give up an out when you only get 27 of them?
Straw gets it down. A sacrifice moves Clement to second.
And part of that is knowing your personnel as a manager. John Schneider has the confidence in Miles Straw, understanding his role and being pretty good at that right there. Now you've got your big boys coming up with a runner in scoring position and with a chance to get a lead in this ball game.
So 2 shots at a base hit here with Bichette and Guerrero, and congrats all around for Straw.
This is the way the Blue Jays have been playing baseball for 20 games, right? This is how you have to try to score.
At the bottom of the order too, like doing anything you can to set it up for the guys at the top.
Now the way Bo took that fastball, it was different arm angle, but I wonder if he's looking for that breaking pitch from Schneider. Big hole on the right side.
Outside, a ball and a strike.
Both the cutter and the slider coming from Schneider.
That was the cutter there at 88. The slider or sweeper more like 83. Fastball away, 2-1. You can see he is hitting it hard. Lots of line drives. Hasn't hit a home run yet, but 8 doubles and a lot of hard contact. And here's some hard contact to right field. It's down for a base hit. And the wave for Clement. And the Blue Jays have the lead.
It just looked to me like when Bo took that first pitch fastball, he almost buckled a little bit like, wow, that was on me. A hitter's not looking for that pitch, so as a catcher, I gotta say, he must be looking spin. One of the two breaking pitches, and you see this ball rolling in there. Bo tried to stay in there. He just stayed there long enough to get it off the end of his bat. But that looked to like a guy to me that was sitting spin and is able to deliver.
And let me retract the hard contact. That's not Bo's hardest hit ball. That was off the end of the bat, as you said, just 75 miles an hour, but it did the trick. It found some green, as they say. RBI number 12 on the season for Bichette. And the Blue Jays have the lead. The Clement base hit, the Straw sacrifice, and the Bichette single.
And that's why it's important to not put all your eggs in that basket of watching exit velocities and how hard things are hit. That is a fantastic piece of hitting in the game of baseball. Not hit hard, but he's able to stay on that long enough with his swing path to get it out into right field.
And now Snyder gets Guerrero on 3 pitches, and Vladdy is pointing out at the mound and saying something to Malachi Moore, the home plate umpire. I don't know if he felt he got quick pitched or something like that, but there was something that Guerrero had in mind and voiced his opinion to the umpire.
Looked like he stopped.
Yeah, don't see anything there. So 2 down, and here's Santander, 1 for 3. Had an RBI single in the first. Remember, Bichette already has a stolen base in this game. Now that was off Gilbert. Whatever it is, Vladdy was just telling Lou Ionati about it. Now he's telling George Springer about it. And Bo draws another throw, so that's the second disengagement. Barrios, by the way, you can see him in the background there. He's clearly still in the game. He has not been given handshakes.
A, Barrios is pitching well. B, he's got a righty to lead things off before the lefties, and Brendan Little is still on that mound out there, so he's probably been instructed to be ready for those lefties.
So could be just one batter for Barrios in the 7th.
John Schneider mentioned this morning when we were talking about bullpen decisions, he doesn't mind bringing in Brendan Little into an inning. Other guys, he likes to start a fresh inning, a clean inning.
In the air, left center field, and caught by Arozarena. End of 6th. The Blue Jays have the lead back. Bo Bichette with an RBI single to right to cash in Ernie Clement, and at the end of 6, the Blue Jays lead the Mariners 3-2. Jays Sunday. There will be games, activities, live artists, and even a glow-in-the-dark disco party. And be sure to stick around after the game. Kids 14 and under can run the bases. Head to BlueJays.com/promotions to get your tickets. Always a festive atmosphere. And it's Junior Jays Day. Look forward to tomorrow. Final game of the series between these two teams. Pitching matchup, by the way, will be Easton Lucas for the Blue Jays and Luis Castillo for the Mariners. Here's Barrios out to at least begin the 7th inning with the right-hand hitting Ben Williamson at the plate. And a fastball for a strike. Williamson 1 for 2, had a double and came in to score his last time up. Little is ready if needed. Inside, 2-1. It's a bad baseball right there. That was the problem.
Won't go straight.
Yeah.
Don't want the straight one.
No. High fly to left. It's deep. And it is gone. The first big league home run for Ben Williamson ties the game at 3.
And it was a no-doubter for Williamson right off the bat. Looked like Barrios left a 2-1 sinker up in the zone, and he caught this thing out front. Alejandro Kirk wants this ball away, and look where it comes. All the way back to the inside part of the plate. But it's belt high.
And that will be the last pitch thrown by Jose Barrios this afternoon. John Schneider's out to get him. Brendan Little's coming in, and once again, this ball game is tied. So it's a tie game here at the Rogers Center. The Mariners 3, the Blue Jays 3, and making his 12th appearance of the season. Here is lefty Brendan Little.
Sinker, curveball. He'll mix in the odd cutter. That sinker will be 93, 94 miles per hour. 11 games for Brendan. He came into the ball game on Wednesday against Atlanta. And despite walking one batter, he's pitched a scoreless inning, striking out all 3 batters, the other 3 that he faced. And he'll come on into switch situation here with the lefty J.P. Crawford. And as they turn that lineup over, Mastrobuoni's on deck. And then Jorge Polanco, who, as we understand, the switch hitter cannot hit right-handed right now.
Crawford has grounded out and walked.
Aha.
Julio Rodriguez out to pinch hit. At the knees, 1-1. Brendan Little's an interesting story. I was talking to him about it today. People may remember he was acquired not this past offseason, obviously, the offseason before. He told me today he was 1 hour from becoming a minor league free agent in the Cubs system, and he would have been a free agent. He could have talked to any team, and he got a phone call from somebody with the Cubs to say the Toronto Blue Jays just traded for you. Swing and a miss, and he gets him one down. And the Blue Jays had to put him on the 40-man roster, or within an hour he would have become a minor league free agent. But the Blue Jays saw something in him that they really liked and acquired him less than 60 minutes before he became a free agent. And I asked Ross Atkins today, like, who were the people? And Ross wrote back and said Kevin Briand, a professional scout, Jonathan Lalonde. These are two people in the pro scouting department whose jobs it is to look at other major league teams, the other 29 major league teams. It could be for advanced scouting purposes, or if you want to make a trade with somebody or something like that. And Ross Atkins said those were the two guys who kind of pounded the table for Brendan Little. And so less than an hour before Little was going to become a free agent, he gets a phone call and says, "You're a Blue Jay." And he told me today, like, he was kind of ticked because he had already gotten in the frame of mind. He could talk to anybody. But obviously the Blue Jays put him on the 40-man roster and had every intention of bringing him to the big leagues. And it's turned out very well for him and very well for them. And he was only ticked because he was like, what's going on? I'm going to be a free agent in an hour. How can I be traded? But then he found out the Blue Jays had plans for him, and it's turned out very well for him.
And that's how important scouting is. And now you have a left-hander in Brendan Little trying to replace that role that Tim Meza played for a few years there with the Blue Jays, and how well he did it as your #1 lefty. And Brendan gaining more and more experience every time out, but he's got a ton of swing and miss with that curveball.
Couple of strikes on Julio Rodriguez. And a swing and a miss. There is that hard knuckle curve, and he gets him.
When you get a hitter that is struggling, you take advantage and you continue to go after him just like that. With a sinking fastball that gets a lot of ground balls at 93, 94, that's a tough pitch to handle, but this is just a totally different look, and he gets such sharp break with this pitch, burying it down the zone.
And now another pinch hitter. So because Polanco can't hit from the right side, Mitch Garver is going to come off the bench. Polanco's in the DH spot today, so Garver's going to come in and pinch hit for him. Garver, a DH/catcher, and a guy who's got a lot of power. His best year, you got to go all the way back to 2019 now, when he was with Minnesota. Hit 31 home runs that year. Last year hit just 172, still with Pop, 15 homers in 367 at bats, but an average well under 200.
But that big year in 23 is what got him the 2-year contract, right? And that's,
yep.
Again, you look at offensive catchers, they're hard to come by. Obviously more known for his bat.
2 down and the base is empty, and that bounces in 2-1.
See the frustration from Brendan, and we have seen this a lot when he spiked those curveballs. And when he's down in the zone, like we saw in the strikeout to Julio Rodriguez, that's great. But when he starts spiking them, he gets frustrated, visually frustrated. Now, what I would say here is the next curveball he throws, he just sets his sights a little higher. Maybe aim for Alejandro's mask, like that. Keeps it at the bottom of the zone. That's a great adjustment in one pitch right there.
Yeah.
And I think he was fighting that in some of the outings we've been watching him. And when you can't make that adjustment from pitch to pitch, you just keep putting yourself behind the 8-ball.
And he's more of a stuff guy than a command guy,
Yes,
obviously.
yes.
But if the command can even be decent, the stuff really plays.
He should be able. He should think about throwing his sinker right down the middle of the plate, right at Kirk, because then it might just go straight down. It might go down and away to the righty. It's going to move. But the curveball, if he sets the sights a little higher, like around Kirk's mask, then it stays just below the zone instead of spiking it in the dirt. Cutter.
He's got 17 strikeouts in 9 2/3 innings this year. So 29 outs, 17 of them have been strikeouts. He'd rather not see Cal Raleigh this inning. He's the biggest reason why the Blue Jays bullpen has the #1 swing and a miss percentage in Major League Baseball. which is certainly not something they have had the last couple of years. Pulled sharply to third. Clement got a piece of it but could not come up with it cleanly, and Garver is aboard. It's a base hit.
Ernie Clement almost made an outstanding play, and it looked like he had it. That's the reaction of a third baseman. There is not a lot of time, but he's right there. He gets down on his right knee and he gets his glove in place, but he just does not come up with it cleanly.
So now Little has to face Raleigh with a man on. Raleigh turns around to bat from the right side. Chops it foul. It's 1-1.
And both for his career as well as last season, this is the weaker of his two sides, so that's also part of the lefty entering the ball game. You're facing lefties, plus you're turning around a switch hitter to the side you want him to hit from.
Outside, 2 balls and a strike. Jacob Barnes is now up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays, with the right hand hitting Randy Arozarena on deck. Swing and a miss. 2-2.
Back to Monday in that first game against Atlanta, and it was an 8-4 loss. The Blue Jays were down big, but Jacob Barnes and Yariel Rodriguez each came in and pitched 2 scoreless innings, and those are the things that go totally unnoticed, but it really helps and saves your bullpen. And sometimes you get a couple of innings like that, you buy yourself a little extra leverage. Both Jimmy Garcia and Jeff Hoffman have pitched a lot lately despite the off day on Thursday.
2 out of the last 3 games. Ground ball to short. Bichette the short way to force the lead runner and retire the side. 7th inning stretch. Tie game. Fans celebrate Dalton Varsho's 2024 Gold Glove season with the Dalton Varsho Gold Glove bobblehead. On Wednesday, May 14th, be one of the first 15,000 fans to secure this fun collectible. To learn more and get your tickets, visit bluejays.com/promotions. Congrats to the Varshos, to Dalton and his wife Brooke on the birth of their baby daughter a couple of days ago. As Hazel told you earlier today, John Schneider told us that it's possible Dalton Varsho begins a rehab assignment in Dunedin tonight as the DH, and then maybe gets into the game in the outfield tomorrow. But it is starting for Varsho down in Dunedin. If all goes well, Joe, a few days there, a few days in Buffalo, and then maybe he's back.
Sounds like a plan, and certainly the Blue Jays would love to see Dalton Varsho roaming center field again. Miles Straw has done a fantastic job, and so has Nathan Lucas and the guys that have filled in.
Changes for the Mariners. Julio Rodriguez stays in the game in center. Luke Raley over to right. And Andres Jimenez leads it off. Jimenez went 3 for 3 against Logan Gilbert today, a double and a couple of singles. And after that last hit, he stole a base and then came around to score.
Fastball around 94, changeup and sweeper from the Mariners right-hander Casey Lugumina. Just his third game.
With Seattle, a little bit of time with Cincinnati the last couple of years. That Andres Munoz, that's the guy you don't want to see.
That's why you want the lead.
You want the lead. Yeah.
Big home run by Ben Williamson to tie this ball game. That's what prevents John Schneider and Pete Walker from keeping the foot on the accelerator and putting out the guys that they want to try to seal a win.
Fights it off. Jimenez, Springer, and Kirk due up here in the bottom of the 7th.
Now with a tie game, you still have a Brendan Little to come to do his job. And the guys to follow just try to scratch across a run.
Now it's Nick Sandlin up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. And we were talking during the break. We don't know for sure who is and who isn't available. You can ask a manager that. You're not going to get that answer before the game. That they want to keep that to themselves so the other team doesn't know. But there is a little bit. They're just being mindful. It's not concern. But today was Little's 12th appearance in 21 games. Hoffman, Jimmy Garcia, Chad Green have all pitched 10 times in the first 20 games. It's a long season. You don't want your guys making 80 appearances if you can help it over the course of a season. Just outside. So again, one or more of those righties that I just mentioned might not be available today.
And that's the fallback when you're not scoring tons of runs. You're playing pretty close games and it's getting late with a small lead and you're using your big boys.
Yeah. And John Schneider mentioned things like it's not just the day before and the day before. It's over the past week. It's the number of appearances, and it's also how many pitches have you thrown down in the bullpen? Getting up, getting loose, getting hot. Graham Johnson is the bullpen coach, and he tracks every pitch that's thrown down there. Swing and a miss, and Jimenez strikes out.
Over all my years in spending time in bullpens as a backup catcher, I can tell you that relief pitchers, if there's one thing they hate, it's getting to warm up and not get in the game. And then sometimes it happens twice, and then they get hot, which means they're ready to enter the game, but they don't get called upon. And then you might pitch the next day, but meanwhile you're heated up twice the day before. It does take its toll over a long season.
Well, and this was interesting. I mean, John Schneider, who's just outstanding at laying things out when he's asked questions about anything, he said before the game that if a guy gets hot twice on a given day, Schneider considers that as if he came in and pitched an inning.
Absolutely.
So not just Schneider, the organization considers that.
And John knows. John caught for a lot of years too. And when you're down there and seeing what guys do to prepare to enter a ball game, and then the letdown when they don't get put in the game, you do have to consider that workload, whether it was 20 pitches, 25, might have been 30, whatever it took. Most guys in the bullpen don't take that many, but when you heat it up and you're at 100% fired up and ready to go, you like to get in the game.
Alejandro Kirk, who's got one of the big hits today, is on deck. 3-0 on George Springer. Swings through a fastball, 3-1. And now takes his walk.
Depend guards won't make you a grill master, but they'll show leaks who's boss. Keep it dry, guys.
Doesn't it seem like these two teams always play close games? And here they are again, tied at 3. By the way, for folks out west, the Blue Jays are in Seattle in a few weeks. Year after year after year, it seems like it's middle of the summer when the Blue Jays are out there, but they're out there not this coming road trip, but the one after that. So 3 weeks from now, the Blue Jays will be in the Pacific Northwest, and we look forward to seeing a lot of Blue Jays fans out there.
I was speaking with some of the people on the Seattle side, and it says we always seem to come here when the roof's not open. I said, well, you got to come here in the middle of summer. Talk to the schedule makers.
Yeah.
And they were saying that in a very complimentary way because they love the look of this ballpark when the roof is open. CN Tower above us on a beautiful sunny day or beautiful summer evening.
A ground ball to the right side. There's the force on Springer and back to first for the double play that ends the inning. So through 7, it is 3-3 between the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Let's check in with Jamie and Caleb in the Home Hardware studio.
Don't forget, get your Jays Gear 50/50 tickets presented on the score bet. This Mega Jackpot can be one of the biggest in Blue Jays history. Get
Well, fans, Saturday, May 17th is Blue Jays Barbie Game Day. Expect a day filled with Barbie-themed photo ops, games, live artists, and more. And the first 15,000 fans will score a limited edition Blue Jays Barbie Hawaiian shirt giveaway. Visit BlueJays.com/promotions to get your tickets now. Very nice crowd here on this Saturday afternoon and a very interesting little ball game. Tied at 3 going to the 8th. And here's Nick Sandlin.
Nick Sandlin pitching in his 10th game of the season, and you see opponents righties just hitting 188 against him. He came in and got a couple of key outs in Wednesday's game against Atlanta, did allow a base hit, but he was able to bridge that gap and hand it over to Jimmy Garcia and to Jeff Hoffman to secure that 3-1 victory and series victory over Atlanta.
Randy Arozarena is going to lead it off in the 8th inning. Luke Raley and Rowdy Tellez behind him. Arozarena's 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. And that slider misses outside, ball 1.
Lots of sliders, lots of splits. He'll especially use that slider against righties.
Slider again, 2-0. You can see big swing and a miss from Sandlin. Another reason why the Blue Jays bullpen is getting so much more swing and a miss early this season. There he finds his own 2-1.
So many different looks too. If you think about what we just saw from the left-hander and Brendan Little, then you've got Sandlin from the right side, kind of sidearm, softer stuff with a lot of movement. Slider and the splitter. Different looks.
Fastball on the corner, 2-2. Foul ball. back, still 2-2. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Mariners. 3 runs, 9 hits for the Blue Jays. Seattle's left 6 on. The Blue Jays 9.
Talked about a Rosarena guy that will take his walks, but that slider from Sandlin's tough to lay off. So much horizontal break going away from you.
How about that jam shot? Right in his kitchen, and an easy play for Clement.
Some splitters will go straight down, and this one, kind of like we see from Jeff Hoffman a bit, it's almost like a two-seamer. Look at the arm angle, though. It's almost straight out there, but look at it run in on the hands of a Rosarena after seeing all those sliders away. Not high in terms of velocity, but enough to jam him.
Now Luke Raley 0 for 1 with a couple of walks. And some quick reflexes, fortunately, over there for Eric Young Jr., the first base coach for the Mariners, as that one was pulled in his vicinity. Kirk asked for the appeal, and yes, says Jansen to Visconti, so it's 0-2. And he got him. There's the splitter, and Sandlin gets Raley on 3 pitches.
Such a tough weapon against left-handed hitters, the way that moves down, and that's why Nick Sandlin is so valuable for this bullpen, because he can get righties and lefties. He's not a guy that you have to just find a pocket where there are a bunch of right-handed batters. It's like having another lefty down there. Much like we saw from Eric Swanson when he's right with that splitter. Can handle righties and lefties also.
All going well. Swanson's back within a couple of weeks. Here's Rowdy Tellez, who is 0 for 3. Oh, and 2. And now Rowdy Tellez asks for a timeout. Ball 1. And the splitter away, 2-2. Fastball at the knees. He froze him and he got him. What an inning for Nick Sandlin. Tellez not a big fan of the call, but a terrific inning for Sandlin. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of Ks. Tied at 3 going to the bottom of the 8th. Alan Rodin is going to lead it off. If you weren't with us about an hour or so ago, we weren't sure Alan Rodin would stay in this game. And a little ground ball up the first baseline. The pitcher goes to get it, and then the throw takes Rowdy Tellez right into Rodin's path. Nothing Rowdy could do. And as you can see, Rodin got the worst of it. Was down for about a minute. Got looked at, got helped up, shook it off, stayed in the game. And he will lead it off. New pitcher for Seattle is right-hander Carlos Vargas. And the first pitch to Rodin, grounded out to second for out number 1.
Hard throwing right-hander. He'll be up around 97 with that sinker. Also got a cutter around 92 and a slider. 9 games. He's kind of more of the long guy for the Mariners. Pitched on Thursday, 2/3 of an inning, allowed an earned run, but he walked 3 in that last outing. So this is a guy that's going to want to be pounding the zone here in a tie ball game late.
Ernie Clements 2 for 3 today. Ernie Clements 3 for 4. So the go-ahead run is aboard. Let's go back to the last play, the Rodin ground ball. And now that everybody knows that Rodin is okay, Rowdy Tellez is a big man with a big personality. He's a playful guy, and that's Rowdy saying, hey man, I'm getting out of your way.
Good fun, good fun. Allen didn't find it too funny because left-handed hitters don't find it too funny when you roll a ball over to the second baseman. But he seems to be good. That's good news.
A pinch hitter, Addison Barger, is going to bat here for Miles Straw. With Clement at first and 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, he got a hole on the right side, and maybe Barger can hook one into that right field corner past the first baseman.
A little twitch there from Ernie. He might have been going. Barger looking for his first hit since getting called back up. Of course, was one of the stars of the game last night. 3 outfield assists. Lifts a fly ball to left. Backing up is Arozarena, and he'll make the catch. 2 down. So 2 down, back to the top of the order for Bo Bichette. And now if you're the Blue Jays with 2 outs, do you try to get Ernie into scoring position?
Well, the thing is, it's with new pitcher in the ball game. This isn't Logan Gilbert anymore.
Yeah.
So you really need to know about this particular pitcher because everybody's different in terms of how they deliver the ball to the plate. You don't just run for the sake of running. He looks like he's got a pretty good move, pretty quick move to the plate.
And I think a lot of people would already know this, but every team has people specifically in charge of looking at a number of things on the team they're about to play, including how quick or slow a pitcher is to the plate. So this should all be known information coming into the game. Whoa, 2-0.
They time it when a pitcher lifts his leg to initiate his delivery, and then they stop the watch when the ball enters the catcher's mitt. And if you're in that 1.3, 1.35 range, 1.35 seconds, that's pretty good. If you get up around 1.5, 1.6, now base runners are saying, I got a shot to get this guy, steal a base.
And again, amazing. So the difference between fast and slow could be like 0.2 of a second.
Yes, tenths and hundredths of a second, just like catcher's pop times. The catcher, the pop time of 1.9, which is his time to get it down to second base, compared to 2, is a huge difference. And when you combine the 2, if a pitcher's 1.3 and a catcher's 2, that's 3.3. That's going to get a lot of runners if it's an accurate throw.
Fouled off. 2-2 on Bichette. Chad Green now up in the Blue Jays pen. So it has been Jose Barrios, Brendan Little, Nick Sandlin. And I would say, Joe, probably whether they take the lead or not, it looks like it'll be Chad Green. He's the only one up. There goes the runner. The pitch is outside. The throw down is in time. The tag on the foot or the leg of Clement, and they get him. Will the Blue Jays challenge? They will not. So Cal Raleigh throws out Ernie Clement. One more look going to break. Seeing this kind of a throw around the majors more and more. The tag on the foot. And the inning is over. Is presented by WestJet, the official airline of the Toronto Blue Jays.
And here is the flight path of the one pitch that Jose Barrios wants back this afternoon. Ben Williamson with his first career major league home run. It was off Barrios and it tied the ball game in the 7th inning. We are still tied at 3. And that's a flight path that Barrios is going to want to forget as quickly as possible.
Top 9 in a 3-3 tie. And changes for the Blue Jays include Chad Green on the mound.
Chad pitching in his 11th game for the Blue Jays. He's kind of just coming into those situations where he's that setup guy that's always pitching in front of Jimmy and Hoffman down the back end. But in a tie ball game, these are big outs to get.
Changes in the outfield. Anthony Santander from right to left. Alan Roden is in center field for the first time in a regular season game. Addison Barger stays in the game in right. And Dylan Moore leads it off for the Mariners. Seven, 8, 9. Moore, Ben Williamson, J.P. Crawford due up for Seattle. Moore shows bunt, takes ball 1. Here's a high drive to left center field. And under the heading of the ball will find you. Alan Roden, playing his first inning in center field in a regular season game, makes the catch.
He's okay. Nice route to that ball, very under control.
Here's Ben Williamson, who, as we just showed you, hit that home run in the 7th inning that tied up this game. Good location there from Green, and it's 0-1.
Chad will get a lot of fly balls because he uses his fastball up in the zone. Oftentimes that'll result in balls in the air.
So with Sandlin and Green having worked the last 2 innings, not that they can't and don't get big outs, but I think we can say that somebody is down today, whether it's Jimmy Garcia or Jeff Hoffman. And again, they have each pitched in 2 of the last 3 games, and they could both be down.
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah, there was discussion before the game from John Schneider about wanting to monitor appearances and innings and pitches in the bullpen a long season. Everybody having pitched a lot already. The Blue Jays have been in a lot of close games. Nice play by Green. 2 down. All these close games mean your high leverage guys are in there more often.
And it feels like a lot of these close games are low scoring games.
And speaking of high leverage guys, you're looking at one right now. Andres Munoz. Top of the order coming up for the Blue Jays.
And they're going to get one of the best.
J.P. Crawford fouls it off. Slider down and away, 1-1. Dan Wilson took over late last season and again spent the vast majority of his playing career in a Seattle uniform. This one's out of play, and it's 1-2. $36,775 here on this Saturday. And another foul back by Crawford. Fastball up and in, 2-2.
Could see Alejandro wanted it up. We've seen him do that a little bit lately. He'll come up out of his stance almost just to really emphasize to the pitcher that you want that ball up above the zone, trying to get a chase.
High chopper right side, tricky play, and safe at first is Crawford. Kirk will back it up and grab the baseball, and that'll be an infield hit for J.P. Crawford.
Good speed by Crawford getting down the line. I'm not sure you're getting him anyway, but you could tell with the flip by Vladdy that he held on to it a little bit too long. This is a race between the pitcher and the runner going at first, but Vladdy's toss was just too high. But I think the speed of Crawford beating him anyway. That ball will spin, and I think the last bounce on the turf spun up and to Vladdy's left.
So the go-ahead run is on board with 2 outs here at the top of the 9th inning. It's back to the top of the order for Julio Rodriguez, who is slow out of the gates this year, as he was last year as well. Rodriguez has never faced Chad Green. Pete Walker's on the phone. Slider outside, ball 1. And again, 2-0. Rookie of the Year back in 2022, All-Star, Silver Slugger, 32 home runs, Silver Slugger, All-Star 2 years ago. Numbers though dropped quite a bit last year. And as mentioned, off to a slow start this year.
Still only 24 years old. That's what's remarkable about this young talent. And I'm sure the Mariners are starting to wonder too a little bit. He's traditionally been a slow starter, but how long can you keep saying that? He's 24 years old. It's not like this old veteran player that should be getting off to bad starts.
Pretty good giddy up on that last fastball from Chad Green. 96 in a good spot too. Bounced up the middle and through for a base hit. Crawford will stop at second on the single by Rodriguez.
It looked like a pitch on the top of at the top of the zone that you really just tried to get on top of and get on top of that ball and hit it into the ground. Interestingly, he's been hitting a lot of ground balls this season. That's not a good thing, but he finds a hole.
Yariel Rodriguez up in the bullpen. The batter is Mitch Garver. His second time up. And he'll take a strike right at the top of the zone on an 89-mile-an-hour slider.
Not an ideal location for your slider. Chad's going to want to rip that down in the zone. Better.
fastball, 1-2, and again he's got good zip on that fastball today. I've seen a few 96s.
Based on that swing, I think you're coming back with that pitch, and again maybe for Alejandro, get it up there, even a tick higher.
2 on, 2 out. Pitch number 22 of the inning. Fastball again, a swing and a miss, and a big strikeout by Chad Green. To the bottom of the 9th in a tie game with the top of the order due up for the Blue Jays. Scoring close. It's tied at 3 right now, going to the bottom of the 9th here at the Rogers Center. The Blue Jays trying to make it 2 in a row over the Mariners and 4 in a row overall. And they get a run here in the bottom of the 9th. They've got the right guys coming up for the job: Bichette, Guerrero, and Santander. And it is not Munoz. It is still Vargas on the mound for the Mariners. So obviously Munoz was only coming in if they got the lead. Strike 1 to Bichette.
I was surprised. Were you?
I was surprised.
Yeah. Don't want to leave your closer down in the bullpen to close a game if he doesn't get an opportunity to do it.
Here's a bouncer that gets through, and Bichette is aboard.
Reminds me of the old wild card game in the playoffs when Buck Showalter left Zach Britton down the bullpen.
Right. This is the way it always used to be done. And again, Dan Wilson knows a lot more about his staff than anybody else, but this is the way it always used to be done, but not as common anymore. Most of the time, especially with what part of the order's up for the Blue Jays, you bring in your best to try to get it to extra innings. Here is Vladdy. And that's a base hit. And the first 2 are aboard.
Not waiting around very long either. Vladdy jumping all over that first pitch. He's got a good fastball. The fastball's in the mid to upper 90s with that cutter and slider he mixes in, but they're not wasting any time, and you don't want to for a guy late in the ball game that's going to be in the zone.
Anthony Santander drove in the first run of the ball game. Can he play hero here in the bottom of the 9th? Ooh, a high strike, and he's got a few words for Malachi Moore. Strike 2, and it looked like Santander had almost relaxed or was calling time because he was not in a hitting position as that pitch was coming in.
And it looked like when he came set, he was rather quick. Maybe it just threw him off.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes a hitter will verbally call time, but if it's not granted, time is not out.
Well, now he's got a battle with a couple of strikes on him. Bichette at second and Guerrero at first. To left field. Rosarena back a few steps to make the catch. Out number 1.
Well, that's that situational hitting where you hope Anthony can try to come around that baseball and hit it to the right side. Now the flip side is it could also be a double play ball, but you're trying in some way anyway to get Bo over to third with less than 2 outs.
So 1 down. Here's Andres Jimenez, who has had a very good day. He's 3 for 4 with 2 singles and a double. Inside, ball 1. Twelve hits now this afternoon for the Blue Jays, trying to win it here in the bottom of the 9th. Fouled back, a ball and a strike. Outside by an inch, and it's ball 2. And a pop-up. Crawford, the shortstop. Infield fly rule in effect. 2 down. So it'll be up to George Springer, the DH today, after Santander and Jimenez are retired. Springer 0 for 3 with a walk. And now Vargas is getting a visit. Pete Woodworth is the pitching coach for the Mariners. Nobody up in the pen. It's not like Munoz is coming in. This inning belongs to Vargas. And Cal Raleigh's doing all the talking here.
Well, they're facing George Springer, and Vargas is a guy that will use the fastball a lot. And he trusts the sink on that fastball, and it'll be interesting to see in terms of Raleigh's plan against a guy like George Springer. Do you match the pitcher's strength? What if that's the hitter's strength if George is all over a fastball right now? Because he has hit fastballs well early this season. He's hit everything pretty well. But I think we've seen pitchers have more success trying to spin those cutters and sliders away from George, much like Gilbert did earlier today.
The first 2 reached on singles by Bichette and Guerrero, but then a couple of outs, and now it's up to Springer. A 100, and it's 0-1. That'll get your attention. The chopper to the left side. And dug out by Tellez on the throw from Williamson. And the Blue Jays cannot win it here in the bottom of the 9th, so we've got extras coming. In front of a crowd of better than 36,000 here at the Rogers Center. The Mariners and the Blue Jays tied at 3. And the 5th pitcher of the ball game for the Blue Jays will be Yariel Rodriguez.
Yariel pitched 2 scoreless innings against Atlanta on Monday in that Blue Jays 8-4 loss. He and Jacob Barnes both pitched 2 scoreless to help them save the bullpen a little bit. And his next appearance, wouldn't you know it, a tie ball game in extra innings, and he will start with a runner on second base for the Mariners and their catcher Cal Raleigh to lead it off.
Mitch Garver is the runner. He was the last out of the 9th inning. Raleigh, Arozarena, and Raley, 3, 4, 5 in the Seattle lineup, and they just put Raleigh on.
Smart.
Yeah, Raleigh has been intentionally walked. So they don't want to have anything to do with him this time around, and they'll face Randy Arozarena with 2 men on.
I don't think Randy was.
He was not ready. Look
He
at
wasn't
this.
ready for Raleigh to get intentionally walked.
He doesn't have his elbow guard on.
Think of it though, as you're a left fielder, you've got a long ways to come in from the outfield. You've got time. I know I'm not till the second hitter, but then right away they intentionally walked the first hitter. He's late.
Doesn't have his gloves on.
Maybe he used his timeout already.
He must have, yeah. Otherwise, the clock should be running here. You can see Malachi Moore, the home plate umpire, has his hand up. The clock has not started. Moore will signal time back in, which he just did. First and second, nobody out. And down and away, ball 1.
Four-seamer slider and split from Yariel. He'll also sink it into those right-handers. Could really use a ground ball here off the bat of Arozarena.
That was
sounded like a foul tip.
Yeah, Malachi Moore says it's a foul ball. Arozarena is saying he got hit by the pitch.
Malachi, with his 2 hands, he rubbed his fingers together.
Yeah.
That indicates foul tip.
It's a foul ball, and it's 1-1. Or it's a swing and a miss, and he went around. But either way, it's a strike. Nobody's challenging. Nobody's arguing.
It was a swing.
Yeah, so it's 1-1.
Also.
Yeah, swing overrides everything. Just low at 97, ball 2. Swung on and missed. Almost came out of his shoes. 2-2.
Good fastball that time from Yariel. 97 with sink running in on his hands. One would think that's to set up the slider away.
Well, went back to the fastball, missed down and in, and now it's full.
This is where it's tough when you have such a disciplined hitter like Arozarena. You're not going to get him to budge too much on those pitches outside the zone.
Again, the American League leader in walks so far this season. 3-2. Strike 3 right down the middle with a slider. 1 down.
He was not looking for that one, but I can promise you that after a few sinkers at 97 miles per hour, that slider there just buckled him.
And now, after the first out, Dan Wilson is making a change and bringing in Leo Rivas to run for Garver out at second.
Interesting.
Here's Luke Raley, 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. 1-1.
I could see him maybe holding up on the pinch runner if you're trying to bunt the runner over, but I mean, you still want speed on second base.
A big spot here for Yariel Rodriguez in extra innings. Down and in. And down and in again, ball 2. Foul back, 2-2. Both of these teams seem to play a lot of close games.
It goes back to the offense, right? If you don't score a ton of runs, there's a good chance you'll be in some close ones.
Another full count.
If you have a top 5, top 10 offensive club in baseball, you're probably slugging the ball a little bit more, scoring more runs, and playing more 6-2 games than 3-2 and 3-1 and 3-3.
Another big pitch here for Rodriguez. And he missed outside, ball 4. That will load the bases. Rowdy Tellez, the batter. Hit a home run against his old team last night, trying to hurt him again today. Infield creeping in now for the Blue Jays. Foul back, 0-1.
Not necessarily a ground ball pitcher at all, Yariel, with the way he uses his sinker, four-seamer up. But this is the guy you want to hit one.
And there it is. Oh, Bichette, what a pick to Jimenez and on to first for the double play. What a play by Bo Bichette to start that 6-4-3 double play.
Unbelievable play by Bo Bichette. They needed the ground ball. This was a tough one and a tough hop. And he goes all in, picks it cleanly, and feeds it to Andres for the double play.
Well, that one had trouble written all over it, but Bo Bichette staying with it. A terrific pick to start the double play.
I talked to Bo Bichette in spring training about the impact Andres Gimenez has had on him already. And he said when he looks at great players in any sport, and Andres being one of the best second basemen in the game, he's learned that taking chances is not a bad thing and not being afraid to make a mistake. Bo took a chance right there by short hopping that ball, and he was willing to deal with the consequences, but he came up cleanly and turned a huge double play.
So now Edward Bazardo is in for the Mariners. Again, Munoz is still out there, but Dan Wilson clearly was waiting for a lead. George Springer represents the winning run. He's out at second, and here's Alejandro Kirk. A guy, Joe, who understands the assignment and knows at the very least his job is to get Springer to third. We should see that in his swings, trying to hit the ball to the opposite field.
He should be trying to stay behind this baseball and being late. Let the ball travel to hit it to the right side.
Takes one on the corner, and it's 1-1. Kirk, Rodin, and Clement scheduled for the Blue Jays here, bottom 10. One and two. And a ground ball to the right side is fine. 99% chance that'll get Springer to third, unless it's a rocket at somebody and they try to get Springer.
And Bazardo staying out there away from Kirk, hoping to get him out front of one of those sliders to roll over to the pull side so that he cannot advance the runner.
Two and two.
94, 95 mile per hour with the fastball. He's got the four-seamer and the sinker, but you can see him going right back out. The first two pitches tell me a lot. First three pitches. I think he wants to use that slider away again.
You saw Tyler Heineman. He may run if Kirk gets on. 3-2. Might be the difference between breaking up a double play, something like that, but we'll see what happens here with Kirk.
Rowley setting up way away on that slider like he wanted nothing to do with Kirk.
Ooh, that was a miss there by Bazardo.
Yes, mistake pitch. You can see Rowley right there. He's saying, get it out there. I want it away. And he was set up way away the pitch before. He left it up, but you see Alejandro, he's letting that ball travel, really trying to let it get deep and go to right field with it. There's the target way away. Rowley's like, get it out there.
To second, and this will get Springer to third.
Outstanding piece of hitting by Alejandro Kirk, and you can see the entire at bat what he was trying to do and what the pitcher was trying to do to him. And Alejandro stays on that breaking pitch long enough. Vladdy knows he'll get handshakes up and down that lineup because the Blue Jays are in position to win a ball game now.
Again, when they are winning, they're winning around the margins, doing the little things because they're not thumping the ball. Infield is in. Everybody's going to meet for the Mariners. One more look at the Kirk swing.
You know they're going away, and you know he's probably going to spin it. He tries to stay back as much as he can. He gets it off the end of the bat. It's a slider that's probably off the plate away, but he's able to just punch it past the pitcher, and he knows right when it leaves his bat, mission accomplished, job done.
So the winning run is at third base with one out of the bottom of the 10th, and it's going to be Alan Rodin. 0 for 4 on the afternoon. So Kirk's job was hit it to the right side. Rodin's job is get it in the air.
Rodin saw a lot of sliders from Logan Gilbert down and in, and we'll see if Bazardo has the same game plan.
Bounces it foul.
Yes, he does.
Obviously, infield is in for Seattle. The outfielders have crept in a bit as well. Check the swing, and it's a ball and a strike.
Now, Alan Rodin is a very young, inexperienced hitter here in the major leagues. Is he at a point right now, at this point in his career, that he can look for spin, sit on a breaking ball here until you get to 2 strikes?
Will Wagner getting loose in the dugout? Popped up. Moore, the second baseman, makes the catch. 2 down.
Got a slider to hit, but just out front a little bit, and that's the difference with maybe a more experienced hitter. Might sit on that a little longer. That's something he might do as he continues to gain experience, but played into the pitcher's hand there up front.
Now Ernie Clements. Springer's still at third. 2 down. Very close. Could have gone either way. It goes the Blue Jays' way. Ball 1. Clements got 3 hits today in 4 trips. Ball 2. And Cal Raleigh knows he has to keep everything in front of him. To right field, but it is playable and caught by Raley, and it's on to the 11th. Telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. On to the 11th inning. Both teams have certainly had their opportunities. The Blue Jays more than the Mariners, but it is still tied at 3. Dylan Moore leads it off. Rowdy Tellez is the runner out at second. Rowdy was the last batter in the top half of the 10th.
Interesting, maybe not, that you don't have the wheel play on
Right.
to try to get that runner at third.
Yeah.
See Vladdy coming hard from first, but if the bunt is down third, they'll take the out at first base.
This is surprising to me that A, is the road team you're trying to bunt here, and B, with Rowdy Tellez the runner at second, that you're trying to bunt here.
The wheel play would be Bo holding that runner at second and then running over toward third. Charging hard would be Ernie from third and Vladdy from first, and Jimenez would just go to the first base bag. Nobody would be at second.
Keeping it on. Throw down to second, and Tellez back in.
But when you see this bunt defense as a hitter, you know all you have to do is get the bunt down to the third base side, because the only play Ernie will have is to first base.
Right. Too close to the mound, though. Ernie retreats to third, and
Yeah.
Rodriguez hopefully makes the play to third.
Right on. It's a read
Yeah.
play, and that's why Ernie's by the bag right
Yeah.
now, and he'll just creep in, read the bunt. If it's toward him, he'll come get it.
Well, maybe now it's off. 2-2. Guerrero certainly thinks it is. He's backed up a few steps. Clements backed up at third as well. Now Vladdy's coming back in. And strike 3 called. Rodriguez gets more.
Well, that'll work for Yariel, and good on him for pounding the strike zone in that at bat. And that's one that Dylan Moore is going to want to forget. When you're called upon to bunt and you don't get the bunt down, and then you look at strike 3, that's a long walk back to the dugout.
Now Ben Williamson, he's had a big day. 2 for 4 with a double and a homer. And a slider for a strike. Oh, and 2.
Back-to-back sliders by Yariel. Remember, it was a fastball, a sinker up that he hit out of the park to tie this ball game back in the 7th off Barrios.
Had to reach for that one, got a piece of it. Pete Walker, Don Mattingly, John Schneider. Lots going on here in the 11th inning. Again, the 0-2. Up high with a fastball. Andres Munoz up again. Will he come in no matter what, or only if they take the lead? Dan Wilson has not brought him in the last couple of innings. This is popped up shallow right field. Barger is in, and he makes the catch for the second out.
No tag from second.
No tag from second.
Rowdy
Not today. Rowdy learned his lesson. Joe's kidding everybody.
Addison Barger showing off his great arm in yesterday's ball game, and what a display it was.
And even with 2 outs, a clean base hit here by Crawford is no guarantee to get Rowdy home. Crawford 1 for 3 with a walk. It's Santander in left, Rodin in center, and the cannon that is Addison Barger in right.
Julio Rodriguez on deck, but I would bet Rowdy is going to be sent on a lot of base hits, no matter where it is.
A bouncing ball to Guerrero. He's got it himself, and what a job by Yariel Rodriguez. Bottom 11. We feel this has been a really interesting baseball game. There's lots going on, lots to talk about. Going to the bottom of the 11th, tied at 3. You're looking at Nathan Lucas, who is going to pinch hit for Addison Barger. Again, runner at second. 1 run wins it. So they're obviously focusing on either Lucas has better ability to make contact or he'll try to get a bunt down, but nothing will be easy against the likes of Andres Munoz.
7 for 7 in save opportunities, even though this is not one of them. He has not given up a run this season. In 10 innings, he has walked 4 and struck out 13, and he's got some high-powered stuff. That fastball will be up around 98, 99 miles per hour.
You got speed at second and Clement. After Lucas, you've got Bichette and Guerrero. You got to like where you are if you're the Blue Jays right now. Can they finish it here? They had opportunities in the 9th and 10th, could not.
I see him bunting. Top of the order coming up.
A step off first by Munoz. It looked like Lucas was shortening up on the bat.
And that's why a pitcher will do that. He'll just do that inside move to second. It helps the manager on the Seattle side find out what they're doing. And I think now they feel Lucas is bunting unless he was decoying.
Pulls the bat back and he takes it low. Ball 1.
First pitch changeup from Munoz. It's not a pitch he uses a whole lot. 4-seam sink and slider that he uses quite a bit.
It's down and it's a good one. And it advances Clement to third. A sacrifice for Lucas.
A thing of beauty by Nathan Lucas coming into this ball game at a huge time here in the 11th inning, dropping a bunt down on the closer. Another changeup from Munoz. And if I'm Nathan Lucas, I say thank you very much. I'd much rather try to bunt that than 98-99.
Again, a bunt much more likely and understandable in the bottom half when you're just playing for 1 run. 1 run wins it. So now the infield in for Seattle, and it's Bo Bichette. And a big swing and a miss.
Bo Bichette was trying to end this ball game with that swing right there.
Bichette 2 for 4 with a walk today. And it's 0-2. There's the heat from Munoz at 99. With a breaking ball, missed down and away.
Bernie Clement not getting off of third base very far. The third baseman's close to the bag, but this would tell me that the contact play might not be on. He's not getting much at all with Vladdy on deck. They'll give him his chance.
And Munoz gets Bichette to chase. 2 down. So now Vladdy, as you get another look at the strikeout.
Bo may be frustrated with that swing right there, but when you're facing a pitcher like this with 2 strikes, it's tough. I'm thinking he's going back to that first pitch, and he missed the slider that he thought he should have got.
And they're going to put Guerrero on. To pitch to Santander. And now Pete Woodworth, the pitching coach, is on his way out to the mound. Oh, is it Wilson? It is Dan Wilson, the manager. Forgive me, Dan Wilson, the manager, on his way out to have a Santander conversation. Sign of respect to walk a right-handed batter. Pitch to a guy batting for the left side in Santander.
Santander, a very dangerous hitter. That's why the Blue Jays acquired him, is that home run potential, that power. But Vladdy overall is a hitter more dangerous to win a ball game, so they are taking their chances with Anthony.
Santander 1 for 3 in his career against Munoz. Blue Jays are just, I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
A lot of off speed. Anthony Tia tells me the Mariners, that's what they look. So despite the almost triple digits fastball, see if he doesn't do his secondary pitches.
There goes Vladdy, and it's grounded out to second. The play is made by Moore, and that will end the inning. To the 12th. To the 12th here at the Rogers Center, still tied at 3. Julio Rodriguez will lead it off for the Mariners, and the man he is going to face is Jacob Barnes, who will become the 6th pitcher of the afternoon for the Blue Jays. Again, like Rodriguez, the 2 scoreless innings back on Monday. He's on to try to keep the Mariners off the board here, and there are defensive changes again with Lucas hitting for Barger. The outfield is rearranged again. Alan Roden's gone back to left. Lucas stays in the game in center, and Santander has gone right, left, and back to right now. J.P. Crawford is the runner for Seattle out at second. Rodriguez is 1 for 2 in this game. Takes outside, ball 1.
4-seam cutter slider from Barnes, and the ERA is not good. It's over 5, but it's because he gave up a couple of runs in each of his first 2 outings. He's had 3 straight scoreless outings.
Fouled off, 1-1. Boy, each time in the 10th and the 11th, the Blue Jays got that runner to third with 1 out, but couldn't score. The kind of thing we were talking about back in the 2nd inning, that they were doing so and have done so well so far this season. They have not done it here today.
Just haven't sealed the deal. They've done a nice job getting him to third.
Barnes checks the runner. And a high fly to center. Crawford going back to tag. Lucas makes the catch. Crawford on his way to third and in there. So the Mariners have the go-ahead run at third with 1 out as Rodriguez advances the runner. And now it's going to be Rivas, who came on as a pinch runner for Garver, who came on as a pinch hitter for Polanco.
Using them all today.
Yeah. If you're still scoring this one at home, you've put in a good day's work. Infield in, and it's outside, ball 1.
Now here's another situation. You've got Cal Raleigh on deck, so is Dan Wilson putting on the contact play here? I would think not. We'll tell by the reaction from Crawford.
I'm just going to make a guess here. I don't think Cal Raleigh's going to get a chance to swing the bat this inning.
Me neither. Crawford's not getting much off third, though.
1-2. Rivas in his 2nd year in the big leagues, a utility infielder, a .220 lifetime hitter in 82 at bats. Two and two.
Crawford's getting his initial lead, but he's almost flat-footed as the pitch is being delivered to the plate, as opposed to gaining walking down that line. Once the pitcher's delivering at home, you gain more ground. If the contact plays on, getting up, and then he just stays flat-footed.
Boy, walking this guy really makes it a tricky situation, because then do you put Raleigh on to load the bases? Like, first base is occupied, second base is open. It's a real complication if Rivas walks. Well, we're about to find out. That was very, very close, but it's ball 4. And what will the Blue Jays do? I worked with Oral Hershiser, Joe, for a number of years. And Oral Hershiser on the air many times when I worked with him said, there's a base open, Danny. It's just not first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's Oral Hershiser on the mound,
sure,
right? So that's him talking about himself. But
and
it's interesting.
You know, it is very interesting, and I think it goes back to now earlier in the ball game. Jose Barrios decided to pitch to Cal Raleigh, and he hit a 2-run double. This is the 12th inning, and this is Jacob Barnes on the mound, one of your back end bullpen guys. Do you want to continue to fill the bases. And there's a lot of pressure on the pitcher now facing an Arozarena who walks a ton. Pick your poison here.
Yeah.
You're in a tough situation either way.
Right.
I think I'm almost to the point now where you just try to limit the damage.
Right. And the walk is what complicated.
Of course, yes.
That's the guy that you really wanted to get to stay out of this situation.
You don't want this guy to beat you, but the guy on deck is going to force you into the zone. And that's why I say pick your poison.
Ball one.
Interesting what the messaging would have been there from Pete Walker. And it may have been that they're going to pitch to him, but maybe they can try to get him to expand. And if you walk him, that's okay. That could have been the message.
Ball two.
Yeah, he's not going to get anything close. They may even put him on before ball four arrives.
Not close again. Ball three.
Save the pitch. It's the right message. I agree with the message 100% because, as I said earlier, I would not want this guy to beat me. I will just have to take my chances with Arozarena, the righty against the righty Barnes, even though you're in a pickle.
Ball four, and they're loaded. Randy Arozarena. Now infielders have a decision to make. Are you automatically coming home, or if you think you can turn two, but he runs really well?
Right. And it's going to depend where the ball is hit and how you're receiving it. If Ernie's coming in for a ball, you come straight home. If you have to go to your left, you go around the horn.
Base hit into right field. One run is home. And the Mariners have the lead.
Well, this is what I mean about limiting the damage. The Mariners put themselves in a very good situation. That plate appearance by Rivas looking real big right now. And you basically intentionally walked Raleigh to get to Arozarena. He takes this cutter on the outside to right field. Nice piece of hitting.
Now Luke Raley. Swung on and missed. 0-1. Rivas now at third, Raleigh at second, Arozarena at first. One and two. Bounced in, blocked by Kirk. Been a long day at the office for both catchers here today, Kirk and Raleigh. Three and two. Rowdy Tellez on deck. Grounded to first. Guerrero coming home for one. Kirk back to him. Now the second runner holds up at third. Raleigh thought about it, but they do get the lead runner at the plate. So the bases remain loaded now with 2 outs.
This is a very difficult play for a catcher. Vladdy gets the lead out, which is great, but watch Alejandro. You don't have anywhere to throw because Vladdy's throw took him inside the line, and then Vladdy's on the fair base side of the bag, so the throw goes to foul territory. Now Kirk has to throw from foul territory around the runner to fair territory. So they got the lead out, which he knows. He pulled that throw and put Alejandro in a tough situation where he couldn't turn it.
Here's Rowdy Tellez. And Barnes misses away ball one. Tellez is 0 for 5 today.
Got to go after a guy that's scuffling with the bat a little bit here because, as we said, damage control. If the Jacob Barnes and the Blue Jays can keep this to 1 run this inning, that's a win for me. And now you're starting the bottom half with a runner on second to try to tie it. Just try to keep it going.
Chop foul, 2-1. The Blue Jays will have Anthony Santander running, and Andres Gimenez, George Springer, and Alejandro Kirk hitting. That is a foul ball, and it is 2-2. The 2-2 outside, a full count. Nowhere to put him, and everybody will be on the move on the pitch. In the air down the left field line, Clement over for a look, but it's well back into the seats.
Good fastball from Barnes at 96. Rowdy was a little bit late. You know that you can get him to chase, but your hands are a little bit tied here. There is just nowhere to put them.
Barnes has thrown a lot of pitches this inning, 27. Again, the 3-2, and it's hit hard to right, and it's gone. Rowdy Tellez hits a grand slam and blows it open here for the Mariners. Two home runs in as many games as Rowdy Tellez comes back to Toronto and really hurts his old club.
Came back with the fastball after it looked like he had beat him with a fastball, but this one's up and in, and Rowdy gets the bat head out in a hurry. And that has to feel pretty good for the former Blue Jay.
And he knew it from contact. Hit it 430 feet. And it is 8-3 for the Mariners. And some long faces in the third base dugout. A game, Joe, that it felt like they had a couple of times. Bottom 10, bottom 11. Couldn't manage to get that winning run home.
A lot of runners on base today. A lot of runners left on base. And this is a sweet swing from a left-handed hitter. And does that ever feel good off the bat? Because you don't feel a thing. He knew it right away.
Moore goes around, and it's 2-2. This could be trouble. And it is just nothing anybody could do with that. That'll be an infield hit for Moore. Moore
with good speed. That's almost a play you will never see. Ball jammed him so hard he just popped over the mound. Too far for the pitcher to get. Too far for Ernie to come. That spin it took off the turf too. I don't think they're getting him anyway.
Ben Williamson, the 9th Mariner to come to the plate. And Mason Fluharty is up. John Schneider doesn't want to use anybody else, but Barnes is at 34 pitches right now. Meanwhile, Casey Lawrence, former Blue Jay, pitched an inning in last night's game. He's up, and this is a big win for the Mariners because Munoz only went 1 inning, 7 pitches. Now Dan Wilson knows he can bring him back tomorrow instead of bringing him out for a second inning.
And that's what one swing of the bat will do.
Yep.
Well, you look back to that walk to Rivas that you talked about, and it really changed this inning in a big way.
That's a foul ball. Vladdy tried to come get it, but it spun foul.
By walking Rivas, you basically intentionally walked Cal Raleigh to face Arozarena. And the base hit was one thing, is 4-3. But they were almost out of this inning with that ground ball. Unable to turn the double play with Vladdy's throw home. Baseball is a game you can look back at so many little things.
Swing and a miss. That'll do it. But the Mariners get 5. Rowdy Tellez with 4 on one mammoth swing of the bat. A grand slam to right, 430 feet, and it's 8-3 Seattle. A 5-run top of the 12th for the Mariners, 4 on the Rowdy Tellez grand slam. 8-3 Seattle going to the bottom half of the inning. The Blue Jays 12 hits, but couldn't get that key hit at the key moment in the late innings. Here's Casey Lawrence, former Blue Jay, pitched for the Jays in 2017 and again in 2022, and pitched for Seattle last night. A guy who has spent most of the year at AAA and a lot of time at AAA. 37 years of age, has pitched forever, and is totally okay with, he gets called up when they need him, and then he gets DFA'd, and then they outrun him to AAA, and he goes back to Tacoma, and then they call him up again. Santander, the runner at second. Lawrence, a guy who just loves playing baseball. Got to know him a little bit when he was a Blue Jay. Chatted with him today, and he understands where he is, who he is, the ups and downs. But he just wants to play as long as he can play.
Parts of 5 seasons for Casey now. 61 games. And he's that guy that you can just juggle up and down, because you know when you bring him up, he can pitch back-to-back days. He can go multiple innings for you if you need. And there's value to that, especially when it means saving other guys in a bullpen.
2-1 the count on Andres Jimenez, 3 for 5. This will be out of play. And for Lawrence, whether it's a year or 2 or 5 from now, he'll be a coach or in the front office for some team. He's that guy.
And when you're around that long, you gain an understanding of so many different aspects of the game.
Dan Wilson does not bring Munoz back for a second inning, wanting to save him for work tomorrow in case it happens. Jimenez grounds out Santander to third. Speaking of former Blue Jays, there's another one. Trent Thornton is up, and he's working in fairly high leverage roles for the Mariners. So Dan Wilson is saying if Casey Lawrence gets in trouble, then he'll bring in Thornton. Here's George Springer, infield back for the Mariners. They'll concede a run to get an out. You know, for the Blue Jays today, a combination of circumstances. First and foremost, didn't get the big hit at the big moment late in the game, even the fly ball at the big moment late in the game, something they've been doing very well. And also Jeff Hoffman and Jimmy Garcia clearly unavailable today. So John Schneider was not able to use his bullpen as he would like.
And that's the tough one when you're entering a ball game against a tough team that pitches well and you're battling without your two back end relievers. But that's what a lot of use does, and they're trying to play the long game here. You have to.
And this is what an offense that doesn't put up big numbers does. You're in a lot of close games. You need your high leverage relievers more, so you got to rest them every now and again. This is where the offense can help your pitching staff. That is a fair ball. Williamson sets up for the throw, dug out by Rowdy Tellez, his second pick of the game. The run will score to make it 8-4.
And it feels like 2 and 3 and 4 months from now, the conversation we're going to be having is about this lineup. Are they scoring enough runs? The pitching might not stay top 5 in Major League Baseball all season long, but as long as they're good, as long as they're respectable, I think we certainly have seen a lot of good things from the starters and from the back end relievers. But ultimately, if this lineup doesn't score more, it's too much pressure for pitchers to keep performing that way. So tough.
You've heard the expression a number of times already this year. They're winning around the margins. They're playing around the margins. They have to do the little things well, given the fact that they're not hitting home runs so far this year. Kurt pops it up. He runs into Raleigh, or Raleigh runs into him. They collided. Either way, Tellez makes the catch, so it doesn't matter. The game is over. As Rowdy Tellez is the big story here, the grand slam at the top of the 12th to blow it open, and Seattle beats the Blue Jays, Joe, in a coulda, woulda, shoulda kind of afternoon.
That's a good way of putting it. They had their chances, they had guys on base, and they executed at times. They just couldn't push it over the edge and score those go-ahead runs, and that's something they're going to look back at. It's a long season, but you can see the frustration brewing among those hitters in the lineup.
So the final, the Mariners 8 and the Blue Jays 4. One more game coming tomorrow, and we'll have it for you. But right now to Jamie and Caleb in the Home Hardware Studio.